refuse service. So I'm gonna tell the owner you're fucking losing money because we want to make a big order of food. Give me the fucking chicken, or I'm gonna cause a scene. Get your owner here.
Cause a scene. You're recording.
You're gonna lose money and get fired. We ordered food and you wanna refuse it.
Look at you. You're telling me you're not being rude?
No, we weren't.
Fuck you! Give me my chicken! I came 30 miles to get a fucking chicken!
Fuck your chicken. Fuck you.
Give me my chicken! I drove 30 miles to get my fucking chicken!
Wow.
Welcome to Brothers in Booze. Hi, Doug. How are you doing?
Doing great, my friend. How about you?
Great. Would you ever drive 30 miles to a Burger King?
I wouldn't drive 5 miles to a Burger King.
Right. This guy, really?
Give me my chicken. Dude, there's plenty of places to sell chicken.
Right. I don't know what the hell's going on. But what I do know what the hell's going on is we have a fun stream coming up here. But
Yes,
before
sir.
we get to that, I'm going to start with a session IPA from one of my favorites, Carbon 4 Brewing. Make Fetch Happen.
Ooh, you got the whole.
Yes. And why is this beer important? Well, it's not really important, but it's my thing is I'm still looking for the replacement, Doug, for our friends that brew that KKK BS beer. Their session IPA. Their session IPA that everybody likes. I'm still looking for my suitable replacement. So hopefully this is it. With my dirty glass.
Dirty glass game.
Oh, this is thin and light and crisp. Not too hoppy, Doug. I got to get you one of these. This is sessionable. I want a little bit more bite, though. But at 4%.
Yeah. That sounds like something that's in that line of like the super crushable. I can drink that all day.
Yeah, right. All day without the KKK.
Yeah.
So anyway, what's up with you?
Dude, I'm going to start off with Ithaca Brewery. Ithaca's about an hour from my house. This is Liquid State Brewing. They made Hula Hoops and Bubbles. This is a sour ale with watermelon, lime, and hibiscus. Cool ass can art. So we'll be having more discussion on that later. I believe.
I hope not. No. Whatever brings you to the beer. Whatever. Great.
Look at the color of this.
Doug, I'm almost done this.
Let me catch up. God damn you. Look at that.
Dirty glass, but anyway.
Yeah, but look at the color. Very watermelony, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Listen, when you start to show off with a sour, I'm worried about your stomach.
I have water. It's fine. This is really fucking good. Like tart, little bit sour. Watermelon's not that pronounced. The hibiscus and the lime and then the salt flavor. This is really crushable too, even though it's sour. Not something I say very much because sours tend to be like rocks in my stomach.
Right. So
my
it's
wife's
not
already clamoring to try to have a sip of it. So
it's not really pronounced though. Is it really puckery? Okay.
No, it's like a very, very light Jolly Rancher almost in a weird way.
Man. And speaking of mine, verdict?
You gonna give me that face?
What's the verdict?
Oh, she was a little scared because a number of years back we had Hell or High Watermelon from 21st Amendment, which was a watermelon beer, and that beer was terrible. And we were both just freaking like anything with watermelon and we're staying away from. But,
so it was the war. Okay.
Yeah. So this is freaking excellent.
Awesome. Well, that's a great way to start. And I've started great too. For some, I packed 2 in my little case over here. So I'll be cracking this open to, 4% though. They make it really, really, this is nice.
Yeah, this is only 4.7. So.
Okay.
Well, starting on the lighter side, especially me. I'm generally not on the lighter side, so.
Right. This is true. Well, we got time, so we'll see.
But I have others.
So, Doug, you have this is one of your book guests, and I thank you for that. And I'm pretty sure people on our stream will thank you too. But I kind of want to give her introduction a little bit, if you don't mind, and then I'll pass it to you.
Have at it, man.
I just so her name is Kinky Sudz. That's what she goes by on Instagram, and I've come to find her after this within the past year. But I've been watching her live series on Instagram, and man, it's really, really good. She talks to basically Black people in beer, talks to women in beer. She really goes to, some of these beer interviews and stuff that can be really monotonous. And, it's the same thing over and over. She really gets into, the cracks of like the person behind all that. So it's really good. It's a good interview. So it's cool that we can like flip the script and we can do our journalism today, Doug. Our brand of not journalism. So with awkward introductions aside, we're going to bring on our friend, Kinky Sudz.
Yay.
Hello. How's everyone?
Hello. Oh, we are doing great.
Doing great. How are you?
I'm just, it's good. I already started off with a drink because I was coming off of another podcast, my Black Nerd Fridays that I do with my co-hosts, Beer Talk Now and Black Bearded Nerd. I swear it is that one there. We talked about the anime Invincible, and I had already started off with a stout that I think was at 12%. So I am primed.
All right. So what's in the glass?
So the first one, I have to go with rainbow colored glasses.
Oh.
And I've never had anything from this brewery called Ology Brewing Company, right? They're out in Tallahassee, Florida.
Wow.
So that's way on the other side of the U.S. from where I am right now. But this is a 6%, right? But I like it because it's very colorful. And I absolutely love color, if you can tell. But the cool thing about this one is that it's a tart wheat ale. I'm not a big fan typically of wheat ales, but this one got me because of the different flavors that they have with it. So I'm very curious what this one's going to be. But I do have another beer, but I will hold that one off. But
excellent.
I think that for this one here, I also picked this one because, as we all know what's happening right now in the craft beer industry, there's a lot of people who said that they're shocked, almost like they were wearing rainbow-colored glasses. So I wanted to go with that theme of what was happening this week, but we will talk about that a little bit later. But let's see. I'm also part of Dirty Glass Mafia. But look at that.
Oh, it's a mafia now. Okay. Doug and I are
You're like Dirty
Glass
members. Dirty Glass Mafia sounds much more awesome.
Right.
Yeah. Look at that color. Yeah, this is really bad. Don't tell Black Beer Travelers. Don't tell him that, because he always gets on me about my dirty glasses. So
yeah, Black Beer Travelers, great shout out to it, by the way.
So this reminds me, like this one has, I can taste like the raspberry, orange. I taste that in there. It has a really citrusiness to it, but man, I'm trying to think of like what candy that reminds me of. Like it's not as tarty as I thought it was going to be, I have to say. I hate when I get a sour that really makes me do that strong pucker face that I can't do it. And this is part of the reason why I don't drink red wines, which is why I'm less refined than most. Because they're too dry. I'm like, I don't want to drink something that's going to suck the moisture out of my mouth. I don't want to make that face. I'm supposed to be like, ooh, yeah, let me drink more. Not, this is amazing. Don't you love that? It's like, remember the lemon head candies from back in the day? Like those were great as a kid, right? And you used to sit there and say, let me put like 4 in my mouth and show you how hardcore I am. I don't want to do that now as an adult. I don't want to do that, especially when I've had a hard week. I don't want to make that face. I'm not going to do that. Nope.
So,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, is it so you're going to veer more towards sour or tart if you have to pick which of the flavors?
Sour or tart? Ooh, this one I think is more on the sour side of things, not where it's like a nice bit of sourness where like it hits you in the beginning and then it mellows out over time. I like when it does it when it's not too strong in the beginning, but then it like mellows out. So like as you're drinking more and more of it, your tolerance gets a little bit higher. I like when it does that, like over time, like you're building it up. But this is not bad. I like it. I'm really shocked by that. Like it smells good, the color's good, and it's not too sour or tarty. Like I like it. So I like it. I'm about to do a little picture for them because I
Cheers.
like that one. I like that one a
Cheers.
lot. So cheers, you guys.
Cheers. So, when I put out the promo for today's stream way too late this morning, the first comment that I got was fantastic pseudonym. And your pseudonym is obviously part of your brand and all that. And I don't know, like I didn't understand it, and even I didn't get it until I heard you talk about it on your stream once. And you're like, hey, and I'm like, oh, I could see how some get it twisted. So I figure we start with that because it really wasn't top of it was going to be a question that I get eventually too, but it wasn't top of mind. But when one of my commenters in our group, our Facebook group, that was our first comment, I was like, oh, and I agree. So I want to let you explain that, and also you can cram in there how you got into craft beer and all that.
So Kinky Sudz came about because one, I had been following some people on Instagram. So I was one of those lurkers on Instagram, right? So I had a personal account and I was like, oh, I post a picture here every few months. My friends will actually, confirm this. I don't post a lot. But I really was like, hey, I came across some beer photography and I was like, oh, I love this because photography is one of my things that I think I'm good at it, but I'm not. But I do appreciate a good photo. So it kind of went into finding other people and finding other Black people who were big influencers in the craft beer industry. And so I became friends with them, check in with them on my personal page. And then I said, you know what? Wouldn't it be cool to be able to review and really get into beer? And how do I want to do that? Right? Because I didn't want to do it from my personal page. I wanted to keep that kind of separate. So I was trying to think of a name. I was like, yeah, everybody has their names of Black this or Black that. And I'm like, damn, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be, copying from another person. So I was trying to think of a way to be very unique. And it came to me. I was like, Kinky Sudz. So I was thinking about this would be kind of a nice way to do it because when a person sees the name, they're going to think, oh, she's one of those beer girls, right? That's the thing they're going to think of. She's one of those girls. Oh, yeah. We're gonna, and then they get there, they follow, and they go, oh, damn, she's not that type. So
right.
But then you start to see some of my goofiness. So, you see the pictures that I take, and I always like to get in character. I love to get costumes and dress up. So you start doing stuff like that. But I also wanted to play on the idea about hair itself. So Black hair is one of those taboo subjects, just like sex is. It's one of those where you kind of go, oh, I think it's cool, but I don't want to talk about it, but I want to be a part of it. That's the thing with people, right? When you think about it. And Black hair is so versatile, right? I mean, you have curls like this. You have my actual natural hair, because I actually did a post about this in one of my stories and people were like, oh my God, I love your hair. I'm like, it's a wig, people. But my natural hair is really curly. It's more curly than this. And I had a giant afro once before in the past. I've rocked currently I have my sides shaved down, but with a faux hawk going here. But I really like the idea of kinks in the hair. And, it's so strong. It stands, it defies gravity. I mean, it's just cool hair, right? It can take heat, it can take the wind. I mean, you push it into a direction without mousse, and it stays like that. Like that just is the coolest thing. But like curly hair in itself is just really cool, right? So I wanted to do something that was kind of tapping into this idea about kinky hair and also into this idea of, sex. When you think about it, like, can you be sexy in multiple ways? Like, where are the types of ways to be sexy besides the typical way that we see it? So, I put that out there and I was like, well, if people like it, people like it. But it was also a way for me to kind of just break out of this idea of me and my self-perception. So I struggle with self-image, and
Really?
it was just, yeah, well, yeah. And people go, oh, you're fishing. I'm like, no, it's true. I do suffer, like I do struggle with that. And so this is a way to say, let me put a picture out there. But you take like a gazillion pictures and you're going, no. Maybe if I edit that, no. And I don't do a lot of filters, right? So it's more like playing with like contrast and like shadows. But like I don't do like the face tuning. I don't do that. I'm like, you get what you get. Like this is what it is. But it was a way for me to kind of break out of that. And so, but then I could also show my goofiness with it as well. So, I do cosplay. I dressed up as an old woman because I had a beer named Iwo Jima, and I created Sylvia. And Sylvia was an old woman who liked to poison people. And people thought that whole thing was absolutely hilarious. Like that was the first time I put up a video, and it was kind of creepy because like I gave someone candy, and you see the camera like kind of. And so people thought it was great. So I was like, okay, cool. Let me start doing that. So now I started doing I have a bunch of other stuff that's coming up with green screen stuff. So I cannot wait to drop that type of stuff. But it's going to be really cool.
Wow.
So I think the nerd in me is excited because I'm going to be playing on comics. I'm going to be playing on like movies. I'm going to be playing off of books. But then I also like the idea of connecting with people, which is how, Sudz Under the Sun came about. But how I got into beer is really interesting. That was years ago. And I think my first time I ever had a beer was back in, what was it, 2011? So we're coming up on, this is 10 years. 10 years, mind you. It was because of an ex. We went out on a date, and I was just like, what are you drinking? Because he ordered a Guinness. And I was used to beer being very light in color. So me personally, I was a spirits girl. So I loved tequila. I loved my bourbon. I loved my cognac, right? Those are me, vodka. Those are my spirits. And I was like, I felt like this is great. So I was like, that's the only spirits I rock with. So, but so I was like, okay, cool, all right. And he gets this Guinness, and I'm like, what is that? And he's like, it was Guinness. I'm like, Guinness? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, let me try that. So I try it, and I'm like, chocolatey, roasted. I'm like, what is this velvetness? This like, oh, it's so good. And he's like, it's a stout. It's Guinness. And I'm like, tell me more. So I dive into this whole thing of stouts, and the rest was history. I mean, I will always go for more of imperial stouts. Those are my first love. The bigger, the bang, the better for me. I hate when they taste like I like it when they have a high ABV, but they are not where you get hit with the boozy taste. Like I like that they're heavy hitters, like 12 to 14%. And it's a really good imperial stout when you don't taste the alcohol, but you taste all the flavors. That to me is a good imperial stout. So when you get those I'm like, those are great. I love those. But this past year, I've been dabbling in more of like wheats, tarts, sours, double IPAs, imperial IPAs, trying to expand the palate, diversify the palate.
Black beer travelers.
But I think in that sense, I've been trying to do that more. And I think with places like Tavour, which allows me to buy beer, local craft beers, it has really expanded and really pushed my mind to what I actually like. So I'm starting to appreciate a good sour.
Yay!
Yeah.
I don't know who this is, but somebody is your spirit drinker.
That's GHG. I don't know why he's like not showing up as
yeah. Guinness is a great intro to craft beer. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It is. It is.
it took me a while to come around to Guinness actually. So that's,
Yeah.
but I'm there. It's good. So Doug, what you
So
got, buddy?
I have a little bit of follow up to that. So you said you've been expanding your palate and trying different styles,
Yes.
and all that. And to be fair, before I ask my question, Greg kind of pushed me in that direction for the show because I, like you, was just give me all the stouts, give me the high gravity stuff. That's what I would like. I don't really expand much beyond that. If it's summer, I'll have like summer shandies or something like that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I've been trying a whole bunch of different stuff. But what has been some style that you've tried that you were surprised to find that you actually really liked?
Oh, so I would say, I mean, the thing for me would probably have to be, I was shocked. I will say the one thing I was shocked by that I'm not a big fan of are pastry stouts. I'm big on sweets. Like I do love sweets, but they're just too much, right? Like they're just way too much. But as far as a style that I actually like, I think it probably really was sours because growing up as a kid, I would try like sour candies. They weren't my favorite, but I would eat them. But just the fact that you have something that has a little bit of like it tricks you. They're like, oh, we have all these different like fruity flavors. And you're like, oh, yay. And then you drink it and it's like, psych, we suck out the moisture out your mouth. That's basically what they do. But when it's done well, you're like, oh, well, this is amazing. So for me, I was really shocked that sours, I'm really shocked with that. And I think like the whole like gozas I always say that wrong. But those I was shocked that I actually liked those. Like those really shocked me. And I was like, oh, okay, I can get with this. But I do think that I still will make a face towards like double IPAs, triple, like double IPAs, Imperial IPAs. I still make a face because it's like when it's really bitter, I get upset. It makes me upset because I'm like, and then like I know people who love really bitter, hoppy beers that hit that bite that comes with it, and they're like, "This is amazing," and I'm like, I tried. I'm like, oh, this is I can't do this. And so they're like laughing at me. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't do it. But I think it's just really interesting. But then people assume because I'm a woman, because I'm short, I'm only 5'2", that I don't like the high alcoholic beers. And I'm like, don't assume. Give me the bigger beer. Give me the big boys. Like that works for me. Like I remember when I did the podcast with Afro Beer Chick and Black Beer Chick, and I had the Horus Another Dose. That thing is like, I want to say it's like, I forget, it's like 12 or 13% if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
and
wasn't that what you kicked the show off with, I think?
Oh yeah, I kicked it off. And it was funny because Afro Beer Chick said, oh yeah, I had that. We had to split it, my husband and I. And I was like, and I'm drinking the whole, and you see me drinking this whole thing. And I'm like,
right.
so you're gonna be so gone by the end of the show, and I'm like, this is lightweight for me. I drink vodka and tequila. This is nothing. Yeah. So yeah.
I have to shout out to you on the ghost part because that's one that I found that I really like. Greg is not so much a fan of those, but that's just funny how that's something that I stumbled into. That I wonder why that is. Like I've always been the stout person. Why does ghost is like?
Yeah.
Why did that do that?
I don't know. I think it's because of like typically the flavors that they're adding to it, right? Like it hits those different receptors on your tongue, but I don't know. It's something about it. Like that bitter. Here's the thing. I love when a beer is really heavy on the hops, aroma style, like with the aroma. Those to me, I think are just amazing. When you crack it open, you're just like hit with like whether it's piney, if it's hit with the citrus, like that to me, it's like, oh, that smells amazing. It smells like nature. I don't want to drink it. Like that to me, like I want to smell it. I don't want to drink it. So, but I mean, but like I think I will say that as time has gone on, I think my hesitation towards them has changed And I think that I'm starting to dabble a little bit more where I've had a lot of IPAs this past year where I'm like, that's actually not bad. I'm shocked. But now doubles, I'm still hitting that wall. But for most IPAs, I'm like, okay, I can do this. Hazies kind of trip me up a little bit because they typically will have a little bit more thickness to them, I think, with like staying in your tongue a little bit more. But I mean, overall, I mean, I just like trying different stuff. I'll try stuff that's like sounds really weird. Like I had a one from Hen House that was oysters. It was an oyster stout, and I love oysters a lot, and I love stouts. And I was like, if you combine these two together, that sounds like a dream come true. And I tried this from Hen House, and I was quite shocked. It had a good amount of salt to it, and I love when you get some salt in there. Oh, don't. It's bad. Salt, I think, will kill me in the end. Salt is going to kill me in the end. But
Me too.
I
Me too,
love
right,
like
right.
salt and vinegar chips. I love like sea salt and black pepper chips. Like it's bad. So anytime there's salt, I'm just like, give me. So I'm drinking this, and it's like really good because it had a good amount of salt. And the oysters were there. Like it was an interesting like brininess from the oysters that was there in the beer. I was shocked. I was like, it's not bad, but like you can taste it. So I will try all kinds of stuff. I'll try stuff like Captain Crunch if they had it. I'll try like a Funyuns because they had a Funyuns beer I saw recently. I can't remember which brewery it was that did that, and I was like, I love Funyuns, and like I know it would be weird in a beer, but I'll try it. And I love pickle beers. Anything that's pickle beer, especially like if it's like a spicy beer, a spicy pickle beer, or just a normal pickle beer, I will down that. I love pickle beers. I drink pickle juice, so that should tell you how much I love salt.
Oh goodness! All right, we deviate there.
So I'm going to I'm going to jump on my second one here, and I'm going to join y'all with some.
He already started the second. See, once this is gone, I'll be going to my third for the day.
Right. Well, I still have a little left of my first one, but I'm Neuro Driver City. I don't even know what the hell that means with the references. Doug, any clue?
Like
What was it? Neurodivergent?
Neuro Driver?
Neuro Driver. Is it
Neurodiver.
like a Tron?
City?
Oh, yeah, it sounds like some sort of like
Sci-fi.
like a Blade Runner kind of thing.
Blade Runner or Tron, right? Is what I was thinking.
Right. It's a 5 ounce or I mean a 5 ABV sour. Yeah, no, it better be more than 5 ounces than this can. But this looks like a wine cooler S. Look how I don't know if it's dark, but I don't. It's kind of transparent. We're not really. My dumb. Nah. You can see. Can you see it here? Where it's
going there?
A little bit. But it's not like clear.
No, but it's not. Dark, and it drinks really, really nice and light. This is one up y'all's alley. It's not too puckery. Almost has a fruity, like fruit punch kind of ending. Almost kind of like, I don't know if this is good or bad. Kind of like that sugary ending you get at the end of Kool-Aid. You know what I mean?
Like the residue.
Yes. It's like a little sugary little ending. It's pretty nice, and it's 5%. It's another drinkable one. Breweries are really being good at, in my opinion, about putting out drinkable beers in spring, meaning like lower ABVs are getting better. Remember when craft beer, Kinky, used to be in it was cool to be like over 10% and everything's over 10 and put some.
We're doing seltzers now. Bubbliness on your tongue.
So, this is right. This is Seltzer E. So Neuro Driver is a techno group. But not sure if the reference there is to any sci-fi.
Techno, really?
Okay.
Well, you know what, Facebook user, I'm going to keep my idea that it's sci-fi because I'm a nerd, but I will check them out. They are a techno group because I do love techno. I will check that out.
We're going to I want to nerd out. I got a couple questions on that. But before that, I got a little setup here. Now, one of the things that Doug and I like to do is we like to make people feel comfortable on the show, and we also like to not really talk about I know it sounds weird, but not really talking about what the guests kind of want to talk about. We kind of usually want to go deeper than what they usually present themselves. So you present yourself as a beer person and an interviewer and a knowledgeable person about Black hair and a nerd all day long. And we want to get to all that. But you're also a beer, you're a woman in beer who talks about the disgusting, basically, I see the disgusting environment and shit that women go through in this industry. So I wasn't really trying to talk to you about this at length when we had you on, when we saw, I was like, yes, I want to talk to you about comics. I want to get into all this. But I mean, what's been going on this week? I mean, there's just no avoiding having this conversation. I'm not trying to avoid it, but at the same time, I'm not trying to have you talk about this everywhere you go. Our friend Afro Beer Chick, I think it was on one of our streams. Doug, I know, remembers, or maybe it was after show or something. She was like, look, I'm tired of doing these panels. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of telling people what's going on. I'm tired of giving them solutions. I'm tired of looking the other way. I don't want to go on your panel and then have you, find out 6 months later that you didn't really do anything I did. You wasted my time. Yes. Right. So we're not here to even try to even set you up like that. But at the same time, I can't let this go. And you have to, not have to, but I mean, if you can give, I'll just shut up now.
Oh, I'll tell you, the reason why I picked this beer, rainbow colored glasses, is because I'm laughing, and I don't mean in a sense oh, haha, it's funny. It's more of when I see people, and the thing is that they're saying a lot of men are saying this, but I've seen a few women say this as well. I'm shocked at how bad it is in the craft beer industry. And I'm like, really? Because as a former scientist, I have seen and have heard and have experienced a lot of the things that have been brought up due to rat magnet, which she's talked about in craft beer industry. This isn't just in craft beer. This is across multiple sectors, multiple types of jobs, right, that women have to go through. This is something that is very prevalent. And I think that what has been the most interesting about it is how it has blown up, right? It started off as a few stories that have now kind of snowballed, and it's really forcing people to look at what has been happening in this industry. And when you hear stories about how a lot of breweries don't have an HR department, you kind of go or the one story I saw where they said they had a sticker on a trash can that said, HR department, place your complaints here. That should tell you right there. And then people have the nerve to say, I don't know why you're speaking up now, and it happened 3 years ago, 5 years ago. They had a sticker on a trash can that said, if I have a complaint, to put it there, right? Or the guy that's causing problems for me, who was assaulting me, is friends with the owner. How am I supposed to say anything? No one's going to listen. And the whole idea that we know that sex sells, so of course breweries are going to pick people that they think are pretty women to be out front, because you're going to get the customers in. That's what happens, right? But does it make it right? No, it doesn't. Does it make it where if she, and the thing that got me, that I was cracking up on, is I've seen a few people say, well, some of these beer women are posting up very provocative pictures, and we know which accounts those are. We've seen it. And you're like, yeah, okay. So she put the beer can next to her ladies, or she's showing a little bit of cheek because it goes with the can, or it doesn't at all. It makes no sense. A shower beer, whatever the case may be. But they're like, but they're doing it. They're asking for it. It's like, really? So you're telling me that you have no self-control, that because it's there on your face, you just had to do it. That to me makes you sound very weak, in my opinion. That you have no self-control. None whatsoever. And to me, it's like when you hear how they're trying to invalidate a lot of these stories by saying you have the beer women, or some of these stories weren't true, or they waited so long to say anything. It's like those type of things. It's like, you can't do that. You can't. The volume of stories that are coming out of it at this point, it's like there's something that's going on. This is something that's been very prevalent. It's a sickness that has infected the nature of craft beer, because the beer itself does not bring this with it. We as a society have attached it to it. That's the thing. And we've made it into a boys' club. It has made it where it's uncomfortable. But then when you add on the other layer of just as a woman and maybe being a black woman, there's two things that are going on with that. So when you go into a brewery and you're the only, and you're a woman, that puts you into such a special situation, right? Where you go in as a black woman into a brewery and they make certain assumptions about you, or they ignore you, or they make certain comments towards you. And I think that adds an extra layer when you are a black woman, when you are a Hispanic woman, when you are a woman of color, an indigenous woman. These are things that are added on that are even worse. So sure, a lot of these stories, and we've seen a lot of white women who have come forward to share their stories, and what has happened to them is very tragic. But then you have the other group of women who maybe some have shared their stories anonymously, but a lot of them are like, add on another layer of being a person of color, then come talk to me. And when I've looked at the amount of coverage that has come out of this, I think it's great, because you're seeing a lot of articles that are coming out. You see a lot of people stepping down, which I'll touch on a little bit later, but you see a lot of people that are stepping down, and it's great because things are shaking up. But I think back on when last year, when we had George Floyd, and when we had the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and people had plugged their black squares and have said, oh, we're going to join the Black is Beautiful initiative. What came of that? What actions were taken of that? Why didn't we see the Brewers Association come up with something for that, to talk about the racism that is also that exists in craft beer? Why didn't we see something to come out of that, right? Why didn't we see higher accountability for that? And I think that we're seeing some of it now for this new movement that's going on with the sexual harassment and assault that is happening in craft beer. But I also say, again, what is going to happen? What is going to be the actions that are taken to change this? Because now you have two major things that have been brought up in the past year: racism and sexism. And we know that they're very prevalent in this. What are we going to do to fix it? Sure, people would bring in people for diversity and inclusion. Sure, they're bringing in more black people to show that, look, we're diverse. Now they're going to be showing more women patrons at their brewery. Oh, look, we have a female brewer now. That's great. Are they in a position to make decisions? Mm-hmm. I don't care if you bring in more women that were bartenders. I don't care, right? I don't care if you bring in more beer brewers, like female brewers. I mean, that's great. I want to see more of that. But I want to see women in positions that make decisions. That's what I want to see. I want to see more people of color in those decision-making roles. That's what I want to see. Because only then, when decisions are being made by people that look like me, will you see the culture change. Other than that, nothing's going to change. It's just going to be very glossy. We did these pictures. We did what we needed to do, and then it dies down again. Especially now that things are opening back up. But I think the biggest thing for me is that with people stepping down out of these roles, it's interesting to me because I'm like, sure, you're stepping down as CEO, but you're still the founder. You still have a large stake in the company. So how are you going to address that? Sure, you're not the face, but what are you? You're still the majority owner of the company, of the brewery, which means once this stuff blows over, what are you going to do? You're still going to be the one dictating what happens. You're still the one dictating if there's going to be an HR department. You're still dictating if there's going to be any type of retaliation or quieting of people who bring up these issues. I want to see action. I'm tired of the fluff that happens with it. But that's my 2 cents.
Yeah,
Sorry, Doug, you have to follow that up.
I don't know how to follow that up, to be honest.
Sorry, buddy.
No, this is okay. This is like when you and I were talking a long time ago about having a more diverse show. This is why. This is exactly why. So we can get at these things. And I think one of the things I wanted to point out is just, as you said, there is this wealth of women giving their accounts. And why is it that every single time it has to be a multitude of women speaking out instead of like anytime there's somebody accused, it's never taken seriously until it's like, oh, there's 20 women accusing this person of this. It always has to be a preponderance of people. Like, that's not how it should be. If somebody says that person assaulted me, that person should be taken seriously. And
society water down. They will always water down. I mean, you look at this when it comes out to the case of rape, and this is outside of craft beer. And you think about the fact that when a woman speaks up, how that is treated. It will damage and try to question and tear apart her character. Did she ask for it? How did she dress? Did they go on a date previously? Right? All these things. Was she drunk? Did she have too many? All these things that kind of bring into question.
What was she wearing?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like these type of things. Like what would you brought this on yourself.
Right.
Not the fact that he couldn't control his urges. No.
Right.
It's you did something, and men or animals were creatures of the physical. We don't know. Like once we see it, we don't know how to. I'm like, come on. That to me puts all the blame on the victim, and it also undermines the ability of men as a whole. Like to me, when you think about it, it's like a saying: men are so weak that they don't know how to keep it in their pants. Like that to me is an insult to some men that I know who are strong of character, who wouldn't do those type of things. That to me says all of you are the same. And that's not true. That biology wins out in some rights and you just can't control it, which to me is like utter BS. But it also, like I said, puts the blame on the victim that it's your fault. It's the same thing they say with any type of abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse. Clearly you did something to set them off. It's always the victim's fault. And I think that in this case, when you're thinking about this from a woman's perspective, we're the ones who have to think about how we dress. We're the ones who have to tailor how we talk because we don't want to come off a certain way. We're the ones who have to worry about if a man tries to strike up a conversation and we say no, that we have to say it in a nice enough way that his ego isn't damaged. You never hear about in schools if a girl's wearing a spaghetti strap shirt like I'm wearing and her bra strap is showing, she's the one who's told she has to go and change because you are distracting the boys. Not that the boys need to learn how to divert their eyes and be respectful of her body. No, she has to be the one to miss school, to change, and come back to conform. So it's destined in a way, set up in a way where men, yes, are in this power position, but it also makes it where it's like, regardless of who they are, it's okay because that's just their DNA. No. And women, you have to conform to that. Like you just have to.
No. No. I'm saying no.
And the thing that bothers me the most about it is when you see these signs up and they're like, she's someone's mother or sister or wife or girlfriend. And I'm like, no, she's a human being. It has nothing to do with who she is related to or dating. She is a human being. It should not matter that she has some connection to a man. It's the fact that she's a living, breathing organism, a living, breathing species here, a thing on this planet. You should respect that. You should respect her space. You should respect her body. You should respect her mind. You should give her the same level of respect that you would give to a man. Simple as that. Not because of who she is. It's just she is living.
Right.
That's it.
How about she is?
She is someone. That's all that is. Yeah.
Don't even say. Just don't even go further than she is.
Yeah.
She's alive. Leave it at that. But no.
Right. So, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
That's really
So I said, have some cereal. I love that. Yes, I know the reference to that. Yeah, I do need. I need Frosted Flakes if that's the craze.
That's Manny. That's our guy, Manny. He's a cereal fanatic. So
right.
Well,
Yeah.
apparently, if you don't know what that cereal comment is, back in the day, they considered a woman who was very sexually open, who was considered to be kind of sexually free, and that it was considered mania, that she was just a manic, like she was something's wrong with you. You shouldn't enjoy sex as much, and in order for you to calm down, that you need to eat some Frosted Flakes. That helps you.
Really?
Yes.
my wife is on the side here shaking her head vehemently.
Wow.
Yes.
Agreement.
Yes, that was a way to say, well, she shouldn't really enjoy it. So we'll give you a bowl of cereal. That should be good to calm it down. And I'm like, really? Cereal?
Right. It will calm you. Yes.
It will calm you. Yes, it will bring
Yes.
down your mania because we don't want you. You're too much. You're too much.
But Manny gets it. I'm so sick of my kind, meaning men, holding ourselves accountable. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what needs to happen. And that's where it starts with fathers of boys like me. So I understand my responsibility.
Cereal dude, I love that. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm laughing at the banner.
Yes.
Mania dude.
Third Cereal Dude. Next week, tune in. Manny is hilarious. It's gonna be fun. Oh my goodness. But yeah. Wait. Kellogg's invented cereal to curb masturbation.
Yes, that's the whole point.
What?
Yes, that was the whole point. Yes, because a woman can't do that. No.
Oh my God.
So to stop you from doing it, you need to eat a bowl of cereal.
Did you just do voodoo?
I'm just right. No, but it's, like, no, look it up. And I swear, when you learn about the history of that, you just kind of go, that can't be right. Like it's like you read that and you go, yeah, okay. And then you start going down this rabbit hole and you go, what the
There was a movie about this. Google it.
Yes.
Okay.
And see, these men are they are well versed. I like this. I like those two. I got to give them props for that they know that. So.
Yeah, we got some knowledgeable cats in our crowd.
Some Minnesota, and he's Midwest like me, because I'm originally from Michigan. See, he's in Minnesota. Yeah, see, that's Midwest.
Yes, and I'm in Wisconsin, as you know. So, or maybe you don't. That's where I hail from now. How about that?
As long as you didn't say Ohio. No, I'm joking.
Right? No, I got a love-hate relationship with Ohio, so we can leave that.
Yeah, I think the both of us do.
But right. So now it's time for our sponsor.
Oh man.
So one thing I don't know if you need a lead in or anything, but we need to hear about your projects. I don't think we've heard about them. So let's hear everybody. I'll pull up your page right here and we can show where. So all of them hail from your Instagram?
They do. So I am actually in the process right now of trying to expand my reach into other social media because apparently, with Instagram, it's cool. But if you want to try and build up a true following, you need to have YouTube and you need to do other types of like Twitch and stuff like that. So I'm in the process right now. So I've started up Sudz to Sun, which is really a cool interview series where I wanted to learn more about people in craft beer. And I didn't want to do the same, like, hey, what style of beer do you like? Oh, that's great. What's your favorite brewery? Which is fine. But I feel as though we miss key pieces of individuals as like who they are as a person. So you'll notice that a lot of my interviews that I've done really focus on things like mental health. Them talking about family and the importance of family, getting into some of their favorite hobbies. Like she loves craft it loves first person shooter games, and I'm like, hello, I'm a big gamer. So we talked about that. We talked about the importance of therapy. We have talked about the idea of starting a business, and as a Black person, what does that mean? How difficult is it? Really digging deep into people and trying to understand exactly what does it mean when you're very passionate about certain things. Like, how do you go about sticking true to who you are, staying true to your brand, and not trying to sell out? So we talked about these type of things on all of my series of shows with interviewers. And for me, I really want to take it to the next level. So the next season, I'm going to be wrapping up my current season now, will focus on different like future seasons will focus on different topics. So the next series that I'm hoping to do for the next season is going to be focusing on brand identity. And how does one build a brand when you're thinking about, from the perspective of a person of color? How do you go about doing that? But some other things that are going to be coming up for me are going to be really focusing on doing some cool green screen stuff, which I plan on doing a little bit more of, bringing in a few more videos, and also dropping some really cool beer reviews where I really want to focus on not just the taste and flavor, like the flavors and aroma, but thinking about when you look at can art itself, what type of emotions does that trigger? Because I think that a lot of times when we're walking through society, and you see things like this, it's like, what does that trigger for you, right? When you think about color psychology and stuff like that. So I want to get into that type of stuff. And of course, I'm doing my Black Nerd Fridays where I talk a lot of stuff about anime. So I really want to pull more stuff in about my interests. So movies, anime, gaming, which is another big one for me. But I think the other thing too would be getting into, I want to do a little bit more writing as well. So writing some stuff as well, because I want to bring in that part of my science background into that. So I had written an article last year about can robots make beer? They talked about how AI really plays a role in the beer industry. And so I want to get into more stuff like that, like getting in behind the science. Like when we think about yeast, the science behind it, like how have they evolved over time? How did we kind of mold them to be the type of yeast that we want them to be? Or thinking about hop derivatives, how did those come about? What is the importance of the different alpha acids that are there? Getting more into that science piece that I'm very comfortable with. So I really want to play into those different pieces for my future stuff. Big idea for down the road, what I would love to do is have my own interview series where I go and travel and interview different people, go to try out different things, and really just kind of show the depths of what does it mean to be human? And, oh, look, we both like beer. Let's talk about that. Or spirits, because I also do like spirits. But that's more of what I want to do, honestly. That's what I would like to do.
So your comment about can art is that's near and dear to my heart. So, because I am a fan of, as I've said many times, if you got good can art, I think your beer is probably good too because you invested that much effort in your things.
Oh,
I have been proven wrong a handful of times.
I was just say I've been mad. I've been like, God, beautiful can, and then it's like, oh, this is.
Yeah. Conversely, I've had beers where the can art is like, what are you doing? And then you open up like, that's a really good beer. Like, why did you not marketing?
They didn't have the vision. They didn't have the vision.
Yeah. It's always just kind of frustrating. Like,
so this is something that I'm keeping in mind because I actually have a beer collab coming up. Where I'll actually be brewing a beer. And I'm very particular about I have a vision in my head of what I want the can art to be. So I'm hoping that I can make that come true. I think it'd be really hilarious. It fits more into my character for the idea that I have for it. So I'm excited to do that. Brew Day will be in July.
ooh.
But I'll release more information as it gets closer about who that is and what style I'm going to be doing as well. But it will be very flavorful, I will say. Not too sweet, but not too bitter. It's going to be a nice little mix in between.
I'll be intrigued to see who that is.
Yes.
Wonderful. Doug, you have another beer?
Yeah, I do. And I opened it because I needed more beer hearing just how Kinky was just regaling us with everything and just really laying it out there. So I picked up one from your neck of the woods, Greg. Phoenixville, PA.
Oh, Lord.
Table 12.
Yes.
Rodeo Clown Imperial Stout.
Table 12, one of my hits when I did my Philly trip. Love Stable 12.
Yeah,
He was
10%
on.
ABV.
Yeah, I've interviewed the brewer on one of my series. Wonderful. I love it. Love it. Let's go. Let's go.
Now, I will say I did not buy this for the can art. But not my favorite can art.
It's clean. It's clean. It's very clean.
Yeah, I mean, you got your little horseshoes in the background and all that jazz.
Exactly.
The font bothers me, but whatever.
I love that Darren.
It's about
says,
to be a killer beer. Or would you say?
I love how Darren says, "Great host, but she's from Michigan." Darren, I need to know, where are you from? That's what I need to know.
Oh, don't
Cleveland,
open,
Ohio.
don't open that can of worms.
Cleveland,
From
Ohio.
Ohio.
Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland, Ohio.
Wait, how do you do it? OHIO, which is like, I can do this and people will know I'm talking about Michigan. What are people going to do for Ohio? Some type of, like, I don't know, weird hand.
Like the YMCA. Oh,
Yeah, it's-
God.
oh.
Right. Right. All right, Darren. You ready to go on cam? I'll send you the invite. We can get you on here, and you and Sudz can duke it out. Michigan and anyway.
So you were talking
All I know
about
is-
the Black is Beautiful initiative, and I picked up the glasses to try to help,
Nice.
put money towards that. And like I said, I don't know. I mean, on the whole, it looks like not a lot's done because we're still seeing violence every day. But like, it's part of me wanted to do something, and I'm one person, so sometimes I feel like I don't know how to make an impact. If that makes sense. So, regardless, the beer is really good.
Yes.
It's roasty, but not like porter style roasty, but not super. Like, you definitely know it's strong, but it's not boozy like you were talking about, Kinky, where you get that. That makes me wonder, do you like barrel aged stouts?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Because some of those can be really boozy.
It can be, but I think it's because it's made with like bourbon. I'm like, I can take that because it's bourbon. I will say the ones with whiskey, like they have some whiskey ones too.
Mm-hmm.
And fun fact, whiskey, and every time I tell anybody this, they always look at me and go, "Wow." They do the Jackie Chan meme, like, what? Whiskey, basically for me, kind of, you know what Band-Aids smell like?
Mhm.
That is the taste that I get with whiskey. And
Which
so,
kind of whiskey, though?
and this is another question that people have asked me. So I've had it where I went to a whiskey bar that was in DC. So this wasn't like, oh, it's Jack, because Jack doesn't do this for me. Jack doesn't do it. Jameson and anything higher than Jameson will do it. So I was at a whiskey bar because a few of us scientists were like, hey, let's go out and drink. I'm like, okay, cool. So we go to a whiskey bar. And they had all these different whiskeys that you can try. And of course, the guys are like, well, we're going to try different ages and see if we can guess which one is which, right? And I love this in terms of the Band-Aid flavor. And so we go in there, and I'm standing there talking to some other people, and they're like, hey, do you think you can guess which one it is? Like, which one's the older whiskey? I'm like, yeah, I could totally do it. They're like, yeah, okay, let's try it. So I'm like trying them, and I'm like, it's this one. And they're like, how did you know? I'm like, I can't tell you my secret. My secret is, though, I'll tell on here, is the strength of that Band-Aid flavor. The stronger it is, the older it has to be.
Mm.
So that's how I know.
Mm.
All right. So are you talking now? All right. You're getting into my realm with the scotches and the stuff like that. So
Mhm. Let's go.
So bad.
So
So
now
bad.
there's whiskey,
Like-
there's Irish whiskey, there's bourbon,
Yes.
there's Scotch, like there's Japanese whiskey. Like, was this more like just here's your Irish whiskeys, or was it like a variety of different different
So
styles?
no, it was all Irish whiskeys. So, and the funny thing is that sometimes, and the thing is that it's not that it's like I can drink it, but I can taste it and I can smell it, right?
Mm.
So, but it's very smooth. Like I can tell, like you can tell when it's a high end whiskey versus one where you're just like
Made in a
this is-
bathtub.
you're right, and you're like, I mean, it's doing what it needs to do. I feel a buzz. However, I might be
Right.
blind at the end of this, but whatever the case may be.
I'll be bugged and blind. It'll be great.
Right.
Wait, where am I? So, but like, right? So I think that's the thing, right? So, but the thing is for me, like, I'm more into like tequilas and vodka and cognac. So those are my thing. I will drink a whiskey. I got no problem with that. I'll drink bourbons. Bourbons are my thing. But yeah, that whiskey, I'm telling you, man, like I've done picklebacks where you get like a shot of whiskey and a shot of pickle juice, and I'm just like, yes. And like most people will do the pickle first and then the whiskey, and I'm like, no, whiskey first, pickle for me, you know, because I need the pickle to be the last thing. But I will drink it. I got no problem with it. I will drink whiskey over a triple IPA. Just saying.
Me too.
So Kinky Sudz, if you're ever in Cleveland, he will show you his Cleveland, and you can have a seat in my kitchen. He's a barbecue guy. He barbecues.
People who say they barbecue, I always give the side eye because I'm
right.
like,
Not Darren. Darren's got the goods.
Right.
he's good.
But
Okay.
just don't be like me when you go to Cleveland, which is what that means is don't go to Cleveland and don't call Darren. I went to Cleveland twice and didn't call Darren, and Darren was ready to give me barbecue, hook me up, and
How
everything.
did you
So
not call
don't
him?
be
That's what
don't be a
Why
Greg.
didn't you call him?
Yeah, don't
Why
be.
didn't you call him?
I fucked up. That's it. I fucked up.
So basically, what you're saying is when you go to Cleveland next time and you call him up, he shouldn't answer. It's what you're saying.
Twice.
He has to do it twice.
Right. He owes me twice.
Yeah,
Or like
I'm
he
gonna tell
picks
you,
up. You know what the other ways you could do it? He
I'm a
picks
horrible
up
friend.
and he shows you what he's barbecuing. He's like, "Hey, look what I got," and
Right.
hangs up.
Right. I deserve at
You're
least
like-
one of those. I deserve at least one of those.
and I'm
Right.
gonna
I would do that.
Seeing Darren like dress him down in person when we were at Dad 2.0 was like the best. Like we were at
Really,
this
really,
convention, and
dog?
Darren's like just ripping into Greg.
Right.
Like, not a mean
And-
way. Darren was like mocking him and all, but it was great. Greg just like,
And-
hey, what do you want me to say? I messed up. Like,
No. And like I tell my boys, just fess up. Like it's the best thing you can do when you're wrong. Like it's also disarming on some level. It didn't disarm Darren. Don't get me. Darren was it was, but it is if you just come and say, look, man, you did me wrong. You didn't do this, and you're like, look, okay, I'm sorry, I fucked up. Like that is to me, it's the most disarming thing you can do when A, you did something wrong, and B, someone's coming at you. Is to
But you know what?
take full responsibility.
But then
I
if you
mean-
take responsibility, you got to take action. That's the other part that people
Sure.
don't know. Like you could say,
Sure.
"Oh, I'm sorry, I
Yep.
fucked up." What are you gonna do about it? And so
Right. Well,
you need
I already know.
You need to bring something the next time you come to Cleveland. Like you gotta be like,
Right. I got it. No,
it's gonna be 3 cases of spotted cow.
like it's gotta be like something stellar that he's gonna be like, "Ooh, okay."
right.
Yeah.
See, Alex gets it. Darren, if I'm ever in Cleveland, I will be there ready to eat barbecue. I won't be a Greg. Great.
Exactly. See, Alex knows. See, Alex learned from you. See, so
Right.
basically, you were the guiding light. That's what you can call yourself. I was the guiding light. I am showing you what you have to do.
Wow.
Do as I say, not as I do. Welcome to
Okay.
my TED Talk.
Yes. I would listen. Stop talking because we'll put the rest on Patreon, and you motherfuckers are gonna have to pay for that shit.
Do the
So
inspirational quotes with the pretty background.
yes. Speaking of paying for shit, I have my third beer here, and it's called Surge Tracker. What about this one?
Wait, how many beers have you had? Everything's so blurry. What do you do?
He's toasty.
Surge
Ooh,
Tracker. Ooh, that's cool.
that reminds me of something
Peanut
from
butter
D
cup
and D.
flavored milk stout. Oh my word!
That is something from D&D. In my honest opinion, the character that's on there reminds me of something from D&D.
Oh man! So
I could see that.
Urge Tracker, yeah.
That tells
it's
you how much of a nerd I am.
quick. Yes, Quick Trips. Quick Trips collab with Carbon 4. People in Wisconsin know both of them. It's a peanut butter cup flavored milk stout. This is something up your alley, right, Kinky Sudz?
What's that?
This is something right up your alley, right? A peanut butter stout.
Oh yeah,
Peanut butter milk.
I
Okay,
definitely would
so
do peanut butter. I would eat peanut butter out of the jar.
okay,
It's
so
bad.
when you pour this, this smells exactly like a Reese's peanut butter cup. Exact. I mean, you know when you crack open that, you crack it
Yes.
open, you get that first of that peanut butter and
You
that
gotta sniff it
artificial
like.
peanut butter or whatever it is. Right. So, here we go.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Wait, you gotta make sure you gotta go to.
Oh no, not that face.
Did you see him?
It's
The
good.
laugh lines.
It's
like-
good, but I don't know. My buddy, the beer baron, loves this beer. It's really good, but for me, I'm feeling I'm tasting artificial peanut butter. Like, you ever?
Oh, don't do artificial.
Well, it's just how it tastes. Maybe it's not. You know what I'm saying? But it gives that taste off like oh man, I don't want to get to the Splenda sugar kind of the right you know how like Splenda tastes like this and the sugar tastes like this.
Yeah,
like
doesn't taste anything like sugar.
Well, that's my point. Is that like I'm getting
You
peanut
see,
butter
basically
here?
It's not peanut butter. It
and
is.
It smells. Yeah, is it extracty? I don't know.
Yeah,
that's a
it's
good
the
question.
drip that they did. They like, oh, instead of it actually being peanut butter, we're gonna just drip it in. You're like, that's not peanut butter.
Right, Butterfinger is more rich.
Ooh,
Sorry.
Butterfinger. Ooh. Butterfinger to me would be more the fake, whereas Reese's is more the real
I think
peanut
that
butter.
I'm
But
sorry.
Butterfingers taste like fake. For me, I don't like the flavor of Butterfinger at all.
I'm sorry. I want to like this more, and I just can't, and I just don't. And it's funny, Kinky says, because Doug and I get on these streams. Half the time, we have never drank the beer, and a lot of times we're not right. A lot of times we're not.
Usually, I usually bring stuff on I've never had.
Right. Mostly same here. And the problem with that, Kinky says, is that like Doug and I aren't trying to like, be here to be like all critical or like a sale brewers or right. So there are a couple times where I poured the beer, didn't even say what brewery or anything, and I'm just like, oh no. Like, and I have
it's bad, isn't it? It's bad. You're like, wait,
it's bad,
what was I drinking?
Right. And if you're like friends with that brewer or like, you know what I mean?
See,
So
I'm
it
not
gets
at that
really
point yet.
right,
I'm not at that point yet. I'm still low key. Where if like if I forget, it's fine.
Well,
so I can kind of hide.
My problem is I usually display all mine as the show is. I don't like pull it on the slide. And that bit me in the ass a few times because and I'm like, oh well, it's not that. Well, it's okay. And then I put it, and then after the show, I'm like, that was fucking terrible, and I don't want to drink that rest of that. I'm dumping that.
So,
Ooh,
right? Yeah. What's going on here?
So this one's called Derivative. Look at how clean this is, right?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. I love how they have that one little horse. I think it's a horse. Oh no, excuse me. It's a horse, a unicorn, and a field of horses.
Oh, that's very apropos.
Right. So this one's very low key. It's only 6%. And this one is a single hopped pale ale. So very simple, but it's called Derivative. Like that is who is it by? Proclamation Ale Company. Oop, wrong way. There we go. That's who we got. 6%. Right. Yeah. So they say this beer is a unique snowflake. A unicorn on a farm of ponies. See, they've already got me because it's unicorn and ponies. But I love this. This is like, they say this is it came up with this entirely by ourselves, by our own creative volition, without any outside inspiration. Oh, so if this doesn't taste good, I could say your team didn't do a good job. This is nobody else's fault. Just saying. No, but let's see.
There are fans of the can art here. Loving the brewery and the can art.
So I got this from Tavor. They had it on Tavor. They might bring it back.
Nice
Oh,
can
so there's
art.
definitely some citrus notes on this. This is I love it. Let's see.
So you're like me. I love smelling beers. I love it.
Same.
Yep, citrus.
Love it.
Yes. Yep. Oh, this is great. I mean, what I always liked about beers is like when you pour them. I love when sometimes the head itself gets a little bit of a tint from the color of the beer.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've noticed that when you have like some red beers or darker colored beers like porters and stouts, they'll have like a tint to them. Those I think are so cool. The other thing I like about it is when you look at the head, when you have different sized bubbles, typically that will denote that there's some complexities to the beer.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm sitting here and I'm like,
Nice head retention. Correct.
I'm like, man, it has some really nice head, which I'm actually making a sticker in regards to that, which because Kinky said.
Right.
So
I'm buying that stickers.
Yep.
and I
Yes,
think
we are.
the funny thing about it, I actually have it made up. I just got to get it printed, but it basically says the tagline for it is, whether it's sloppy or neat, it's still head. And I'm like, this is great. I was cracking up way too much. It's like,
Right.
I know it's bad. But especially after this week, so I'm like, maybe I should wait to drop this. Sticker, but man, let's see.
So are those horses on the can?
They were horses and one unicorn. Horses and the one unicorn that's in gold.
Gotcha.
Which, by the way, have either one of you ever rode a horse?
No.
Yes.
I have. Absolutely fantastic.
The reason I got to ride a horse was because I had a girlfriend whose dad was a person who trained what are the horses that have the little cart thingies behind them that race? They're like
steeplechase?
No, that's not that. But anyway, her dad trained them.
Single hop, not single malt, Alex. Yeah. Single hopped. Sorry.
Single malt's a whole different class of stuff. But anyway, so I would during the winter, like between school because I was in college, and I went and I cleaned the horse stalls. That was my job for the winter, which is not a job you want to do ever.
No,
I did get to ride a horse a few
shit.
times. That was the only reason. So yeah,
you shoveled shit for a living. Yeah, sorry.
I mean,
that was the shittiest job I ever had.
Listen. You know what? You want to talk about shit? As a former scientist, I'll give you a little bit of backstory of what I used to do as a researcher. So I used to work in. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Aren't you always once a scientist? Aren't you always a scientist? Kind of like president.
To a certain extent, I am not a practicing scientist. I'll say that much.
Cool. Okay.
So back when I was practicing science, and I used to actually work at the bench, I used to work in a microbiology lab, and we focused mostly on the microbiota. So for people who don't know what the microbiota is, it's basically a collection of microbes that live in your gut. And they're very important because without them, you wouldn't digest a lot of the foods that you eat. Like you just wouldn't be able to. They, besides helping you digest food, they're very important for educating your immune system. And they play a very important role in your day-to-day activities and your health overall. But when you study the microbiota, you basically study shit. Like you collect shit every day. So I used to work with mice, and we would go and collect pellets from mice every day. And it was quite interesting because after a while you get used to, you just get used to it, the smell. We would infect them with things like salmonella and other types of bacteria, and they would get diarrhea. And you're like, damn, a mouse having diarrhea. What does that look like? You don't want to know. But I also used to, I love that this is broadcast as my microbiome. Yes. I also used to work with a little bit of pig poop as well.
Ooh, pigs.
That smells terrible. When you get a collection of pig poop and it comes in a styrofoam box
Pig poop.
and they say, "Here you go," and you go to open that bad boy and you're just like, "Oh, okay, hold on," like it's bad, it's bad, and you gotta like process it. Yeah. So I've dealt with pig poop, mouse poop, and I've also used to work with fruit flies as well. So I can see a fruit fly flying in the air, and when it lands, I can tell you if it's male or female. I can tell you that. I can tell if it's male or female. Pig poop, yes.
Fruit
Yes,
flies.
we are.
Mean the
Yes.
tiny freaking like?
Yes.
Can you do
I'm
that
gonna tell
just
you-
by going? I see them. That's a male. But do you need to like?
Oh no. Let me tell you. Why deal with that shit as a scientist? Great question. Let me explain. Let me answer that question before I get into my fruit fly situation. You want to deal with shit because shit will tell you how healthy that organism is. I mean, really, when you think about poop in itself, there's a certain type of texture that it should have, a certain type of consistency that it should have. And if it's runny, something's wrong. If it's too hard and rock and little rocks, little pellets, something's wrong. So you can tell a lot about the health of it. The color also tells you something about the diet. Tells you a lot of things. So paying attention to your poop is very important. I always tell people this as well. Like, pay attention if you see color changes, if you see colors of like, oh, look, that looks like there might be blood in my stool. Pay attention to that type of stuff. If it's darker than it should be, pay attention to that. If it's green, so sometimes green can be due to you eating certain types of vegetables. Like asparagus is really known for changing the color of your poop. Certain types of drugs that you take will also change the color of your poop as well. But it's very important to pay attention to that. And I tell people this all the time. Really pay attention to your poop. If it's drastically different than what you're used to seeing, pay attention. Just saying.
So if you're in the bar next to Kinky Sudz, she turns to you and goes, "Pay attention to your poop." Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Say, "Hey, how many times have you gone today? Are you regular?"
Sorry, I had to finish, please.
See? Yes, from Jurassic Park. And she went in deep and she's like, "Oh, yeah, let me look at the consistency." She's like, "Yeah, it's not in there." You tell a lot. You could tell a lot. Okay, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. You can tell a lot.
Yeah.
That's your public service announcement. Your PSA. The more you know. Exactly. The more you know. Reading rainbow here. But for fruit flies, tell if they're male or female. And this is also getting into another area of the body. If you look at a fly, you can tell by their butts. And their butt on males will be a black color. On females, not the case. And we used to tell by the colors, we used to call it the color of their anal plate. Yes, I know. We had to look at anuses all day when I was an undergrad. That was the way that you could tell. The other funny thing about my time as a scientist, and I know people are probably going, "What the fuck is she doing?" I used to have to mate fruit flies. So I had to take a male and put him in with a bunch of females. Sounds great, right? He has a harem of female flies. You couldn't put too many female flies in there because he would get kind of stage fright. He would be like, "I don't know what to do. There's too many. There's too many holes," is basically what he would get, like, "I can't do it. I don't know what to do. I don't know." So he would freak out. So there was a certain type of number of male to female ratio that you would have for that. But for the most part, we had to collect virgin female flies, and you would tell because they had this moon shape color on their abdomen, and that was a way that you could tell if she was a virgin or not. Creepy stuff when you think about it. Like, we literally, like, the male he could have lost his a long time ago, but the females had to be a virgin because when you're trying to mate and do these genetic crosses, she had to not have been tainted, as they like to call it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Science is interesting.
Oh,
I'll tell you much. I tell you that much.
Don't put that on me.
I know, right? He's like, "Doug, write a story."
No, I write a little bit, so that's why they're throwing that at me. So thanks, Victor.
I love how
appreciate
like
it.
I'm looking at the chat bubble and it's like 20, and I'm like, oh, I know people are going, what the hell is to pimp life?
No, this is the thing. Our crowd loves this kind of stuff, so I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be great.
I love this.
Uh,
I love this. It's like this isn't going to
I
fly.
joke, but
God,
this shit's fascinating.
I love how people are saying like the puns in there. They're like, this won't fly. You're right. It won't fly because they're stuck in a little bottle.
Right. Why deal with this shit as a scientist? Right. All right.
You know,
So
yeah.
what one of the things that well, I don't know if everybody likes it or not, but I like it. Are my videos that I find on Reddit. So this is obviously something going on. So we need to get your opinion on this, Kinky Sudz.
Yes,
Where are you at on this issue?
In like a, you know, a gas can.
But this one was leaking when I started, so I stopped.
Yeah, well, you need to put it in a container. You can't just let it leak onto the ground like this.
It's in a bag, but this one was leaking.
No, but the bag is leaking, so you need to
I know.
put it in one of your boxes or something. You're just... Well, now it's going to leak out of the back of your truck. That's not any better.
This isn't any of your business.
You
Right.
can't just fill containers with gas. Do you know it's fire season right now? You can't just leak gas onto the floor. Sir, you gotta stop doing that.
It's fine.
No, it's not fine. You're actually filling... Look, you need to stop. Do you understand that the gas will eat away at plastic bags? That's why they make gas containers that will, hold the gas without it eating away the plastic.
Can you just leave me alone?
No, you're leaking gas on the ground. You can't just fill up plastic bags.
That was an accident.
But it's,
What?
that's not like legal. Are you not gonna stop?
No. I have a right to buy gas.
You don't have a right to put it in any container
There's a
you
gas
want.
shortage.
No, there's not a gas shortage.
There is. There will be.
That's on the East Coast. That's because of a pipe. There's no gas shortage.
All right. Just wait a week. Just wait a week.
I'm not gonna wait a week. You're gonna cause a fire or a problem here. You can't just leak gas onto the ground.
I don't think this is your problem.
I think it is my problem because you're making a mess. And you're probably gonna spill gas out of your car when you drive away. You can't just put it in a plastic bin. I'm gonna go get the manager.
Fine.
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 Okay. What state is that happening in?
I don't know. I can go back and look, but it was it wasn't an Eastern state because remember she said something like that's going on the East Coast, right? And he's like, what's going to happen
fire
here?
Season? I'm thinking it's California because no other state says it's fire season. That's California. Here's my thing. He says there's a gas shortage. Yes, because of the pipeline and because of people like you who are putting it into containers. And like even if you were putting it into a container that could actually hold the gas properly, you're taking gallons of gas. For what reason? I don't understand why people do this. It's the same thing that they did when the pandemic started and they bought large amounts of tissue.
Right.
Large amounts of hand sanitizer. You got soap. Buy soap. Why buy a bunch of alcohol face hand sanitizer? You got soap. I don't understand okay. People like that bother me because it's like it proves a point why I say that as a species we are the dumbest smart species on this planet. Because we have placed ourselves at the top of the food chain because we have changed the environment around us. What other species has done that? Some do it to a smaller extent, but we have done it globally.
Mm-hmm.
Yet we don't have the mental fortitude to know that, oh, hey, so we depleted all the resources over there. We're going to move to a new area and we're going to do the same thing again. And it's like, why when you did it over? That was over there.
Right.
We're over here now.
Well,
Dumb.
Well, we're about to do it to Mars too, by the way. But anyway,
let me touch on that just a small bit.
Ooh, I caught it. I hit a thread here, though.
You did. So I'm big into science. Clearly. Sci-fi is my thing. Clearly. But like, here's my thing. We haven't learned how to live on this planet properly, and we're going to take our asses to another planet.
Right.
And do what? We've already dropped a bunch of trash on this thing. We got 2 freaking rovers that have died because they got covered with sand and dirt. We've got probes that have gone to other planets and are like making their way further out into the universe. Who knows? We would never get them. So they're just going to continue on. So we got all this trash, space trash, basically out there already. And then we want to send more humans.
Right.
We want to send humans to Mars. Why? And the thing is that you know for a fact that when they start to actually send humans to Mars, they prove that, yes, we can get them there and they don't die. Rich people are going to be like, well, you've established a colony, you know? I want to pay to get there. And what's going to happen? If you guys haven't watched the movie Elysium with Matt Damon, who is not one of my favorite actors at all, because every time he's in a movie, you always have to go and save him, but that's besides the point. That's besides the point.
Unless he's Jason Bourne, then you don't have
Unless
to.
he's Jason Bourne. But he also has some issues that, behind the scenes are just bad. But I think that with Elysium, the fact that they had the rich living up in space on these really nice areas and the poor and the sick were stuck down on Earth, that is possibly going to happen. Like, that is what is going to happen. The rich are going to be able to leave.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get stuck on this planet that is destined to become basically a rock with nothing on it.
Mm-hmm.
And who's going to be left behind?
The poor.
The poor. And
right.
who the poor is made up mostly of what? Think about it.
Right.
It's like, so the thing that gets me about it is like the rich. There's going to be this hierarchy that's going to happen, right? And it's like we're not learning. We are not thinking about how do we continue to push the species? Let's think about that. How do we continue to push the species? No one cares about that because we're so individualistic, especially here in America. It's bad. It is really bad. It's really bad. But that's my two cents.
Well, I got a million comments on sci-fi movies, but that's like another whole show.
Can we just say,
Angel Alita? Yeah, that's another one. Yes.
I was
somebody now contemplating Matt Damon's filmography. Yes, you should.
So my only comment about that video was I was just surprised that he was wearing a mask. Actually, right. So that's when Alex said that this one. What did he say? This one is kind of. I thought this one. Yeah, he said this one has to be fake. That was the only thing that I thought was really weird. Is that I thought that these people who again hoarding gas. I just always throw you in the anti-masker. Flat Earth box. You know what I mean? Of like crazy. What did Hillary Clinton say? Box of deplorables. right. That aged well, didn't it? But anyway, on that note, right? A lot of things Hillary Clinton aged well. We're not trying to go there. But Doug, can you go there and tell us what your third beer is?
Yeah, so this is gonna be a fun one because one really fucking cool label.
It's a bully day.
Enzo.
Very bully.
Someone's getting knocked out there.
Yeah, so this is barrel aged Belgian strong with Vignoles juice. Vignoles? I have no idea how to pronounce that.
Because that shit's gonna knock you out.
He knows everything. So,
right. That shit's gonna knock you out.
Mama said.
So Doug, do Can I jump in here with a question for Kinky while you do that?
Yeah, do that.
One of
I poured it into my dirty glass.
One of the things that we're absolutely going to talk about before we get you out of here is, again, we need to nerd out more. And so, Doug, I love that. Before we get to the question, Doug, I love the way that beer looks, man.
Yeah. It almost smells like a sour.
Ooh.
Oh.
And it's a Belgian
Damn.
strong. That's concerning.
Well, right. Well, man, that's nice esters and all that. I want to.
Ooh.
So,
Well, the Belgian strongs usually are pretty, they're strong, but I always find them a bit sweet, not like overly sweet. Like the vignoles, whatever, I'm assuming that's a grape. Or like, because that's what or maybe that's a different kind of yeast. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
But it's got the
It's
Belgian
great.
strong like start and then just goes into like a tart finish. Really different. It's
nice.
It's really like
sweet to tart.
It's like a
huh?
sour.
Okay.
It's like a sour Belgian, but not like a sour Belgian. Like
not a goose or
weird.
Not a goose or lambic. Wow.
Ooze.
Okay.
Yeah, and this bottle I picked up, I think it was $8, and it's I
Mm.
think it's like a 17-ounce bottle. But yeah, from Lucky Air, which is in the Finger Lakes. So.
What's it say for ABV?
9.
Oh, okay. All right.
You can tell because the cheeks are starting to get more red.
Yeah.
My cheeks get red when I drink, or if I walk more than 20 feet. So.
So Kinky Sudz, this is I think we missed this. This is Beer Talk Now on his personal channel. He wanted to say hi to everybody. Beer Talk Now isn't that your we didn't really get to talk. Who do you do your nerd show with?
Yes, so I actually do that with Beer Talk Now. It's on Black Nerd Fridays. It's with Beer Talk Now and also with I always get his name mixed up, and I know this is bad. His name is
Blackbeard.
Blackbearded Man.
Yep.
Blackbearded Nerd. Sorry.
Blackbearded Nerd. Yes. So, what do you guys talk about on that show?
Oh man, we talk about all kinds of stuff, man. Today we just talked about Invincible, and that was a new anime series that's on Netflix, where the young man has his powers. He has a father who's also a very strong superhero. And we broke that thing down. We talked about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And on that Black Nerd Fridays with those two co-hosts, it's really cool because we talk about all kinds of anime. We talk about old school. We talk about new school. We talk about movies. We talk about shows. And so we try to get a good mix of different styles of anime. We don't talk about just certain types. We talk about all kinds. But it's been really fun because there's 3 black people who are on this show, 2 black guys, 1 black woman, and I'm the only one who ever cosplay every single episode. The other 2 co-hosts of mine, they think they're too cool for school type of a thing, which is fine. I like to give them shit about it, but I think it's nice because I come in and people are like, "Oh, okay, I see what she's gonna be like." They're trying to figure out what character I'm gonna dress as for that week. But I do like our perspectives because none of us agree really. We may agree on some things, but there's such a difference in perspective that
a little bit back and forth.
It is. And so, like today, we talked about Invincible, and there were some things that they really liked, and I was like, I didn't like it. And sometimes it's quite the opposite. And then sometimes we're all collectively agreeing with each other on certain things. We always try to pull in every single time on every single episode that we do together. What is that black perspective? So trying to understand like certain themes that might speak to a black person or to a person of color that typically most wouldn't really pay attention to, right? Or wouldn't really understand. And so we try to pull that out. So last week we talked about Yasuke, which is also on Netflix. And some of the future stuff that we're going to be talking about is like Sword of the Stranger. We're going to be talking about Kite. We're going to be talking about, there's a few other ones that we're going to have coming up as well. But we've also talked about like Steins Gate. We've talked about those type of things as well. So We talk about all types of anime, and really nerd out on it. We talk about the science, we talk about Black issues, we talk about the themes that are in there, all kinds of stuff. It's like really good, really really good. We drop some spoilers sometimes, which is bad, but I'm like most of the time people have seen it already, so they're kind of watching to confirm their ideas about stuff. So it's
Right,
pretty
right.
fun.
So I know this is good. I say real quick, but if it's not real quick, that's fine. Comic books. That's another one that you say that you love. And again, I wanted to get into it. Let me give my background a little bit on comic books, which is I've always been fascinated by them, but I've never really put my full oomph in it, if that makes sense, or really like go and really try to do it. So, or to just to really start. So a question for a person who is a comic book fan coming from away, but I was never really able to get into it. It's something I want to introduce my boys to. Do you have a way? Like when you're on the outside of something, it always looks overwhelming, if that makes sense. Like you're like, where do I start? The Marvel universe is one of these things for me. Like I look at the Marvel universe and I'm like, I've never seen any of these fucking movies. And everybody's like, you need to see Avengers, you need to see this, and I'm like, but where the fuck do I start? There's 600 movies coming out.
Yes.
There's 600. Right. So I when you Google it, they tell you. And me and my boys have been on this journey, so I hear you. But there's really nothing like that for comic books. Meaning, like when you Google where do I start comic books, it just ultimately opens up to a whole bunch of things. And then also to speak to a little bit about Black characters and stuff like that. So where do I start in comics? If I want to just like buy like 7 and then just have them drop off here and then my boys can start, where do I start and all that?
If you want to stick with Black characters or some type of proper Black representation, I would highly recommend what's that one? It's called it's the Black guy who started up the comic series, Black Sand Comics. Black Sands.
That was something that Darren Carter just asked about. So perfect.
Yes. That was the one that I would highly recommend. They're also doing a bit of fundraising right now and have done exceptionally well. They're also, I think, climbing the charts on the Amazon bestseller list right now. Really cool. The artwork in that, I think, has done an exceptional job in being able to represent Black characters properly, but the storylines as well have made them where they have very strong Black characters. If you want to get into comics or graphic novels, because I read a lot of graphic novels as well, one that I typically will kind of get people into is, in particular, one called East of West. East of West has a kind of a futuristic Western feel to it, and it brings about the idea that you have the 4 horsemen, and Death is on a mission to find his son. And now most people will go, how the fuck did he have a son? And who did he have a son with? It's really interesting when you actually go through. The characters that were in there were really cool. I think the artwork alone is just phenomenal. You really get to understand Death in a different way. And I thought that his way of moving through the world was very, very interesting. Every time I have introduced people to East of West, they've always walked away saying that they've really enjoyed that series. So that would be one that I would definitely suggest as well. So Black Sands, East of West. Another one that I would say to get you started in would be Why the Last Man. Why the Last Man.
Is that like the letter Y?
Yes.
I thought I remember seeing that. And I am not a comic book or anime person, so for some reason I remembered it being a Y, and that's why it stuck out.
That one was really interesting because it talks about the fact that there was a young man who had a pet male monkey, and they were the last 2 male species on the entire planet. All the male species have died, and only that was left were females. So he's walking through this world trying to understand, 1, why is he still alive? And 2, trying to navigate through different factions of women because some went off the deep end, and trying to understand how to make things work. So I thought that one was really interesting. Trying to understand that perspective on things of an end of the world type of a thing.
And as I Google it, it looks like there's a series.
Yes, they're trying now. There's another one that I would suggest called Saga. That one was pretty interesting as well. That one kind of followed this couple who were of two different species that typically would have this. They had this long drawn out war between each other, but they had fallen in love with each other. Kind of a Romeo and Juliet, but sci-fi spin to it. That one was really interesting. You had some really cool characters and character designs in there I thought were really good. That one's really good. Saga is awesome. Absolutely awesome. I would totally suggest that one.
Right.
There was another one called Trees. Trees is about these basically these structures that had landed on Earth, kind of similar to what you saw in the movie Arrival, where they arrived on Earth in different areas and they kind of planted themselves there and were quiet. Nothing happened with them for several years, and all of a sudden, they start to awaken, and people are trying to understand what is their purpose. So these would be the ones that I would suggest. There's tons of others that I have as well. But these are ones that really kind of push up against the idea of sci-fi, but also kind of a bit of realism as well. I read tons of comics, tons of graphic novels. I always try to find stuff to recommend to people, but I'm like, if you like these type of themes, typically you can find some type of comic or graphic novel that kind of falls under that category. But I can talk at arm's length about that. It's bad. It's like long.
John Lewis's March is a fantastic one. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Yeah.
That's a three-parter. Doug?
I'm going to talk just a bit about anime because I have my wife and a couple of my kids are really into it, and I can't get into it. I think part of it is I'm partially deaf, so like I have to pay attention to a lot. So when people are talking, and so what's weird is like if I'm watching a movie with subtitles, I can get through it. But when I'm watching anime with subtitles, it's so fast, like because usually the action is fairly fast, and I honestly the artwork for me is not something that I dig. So I sometimes wonder why. Like I want to be able to talk to my kids about that, and I don't know how. Because I haven't found one I like. Like my wife's like, you'd really like Attack on Titan. You'd love the storylines and all that stuff because I'm about storytelling. That's what I dig. And she's like, that's a really good one. My kids are into like Hunter x Hunter and like all these kind of, so they have a whole bunch of stuff. They use like Crunchyroll and all that jazz. And I am just lost because I have a hard time. I don't know. I have a hard time processing it. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. I think one that comes to mind, and we talked about this on Black Nerd Fridays, it's one called Gangsta. Gangsta has it where there's these two guys that are kind of like henchmen, and one of them is deaf.
Okay.
And it's really interesting because the tone of that one is a little bit slower than most anime, but it has this like gritty back alley kind of feel to it, and the speed at which it goes is much slower than I've seen in most other anime. Like it's really good. And the unfortunate thing about this anime is that they only had one season. One season, but it's really good. It's really good. I've always enjoyed watching that particular anime because it gets into this idea that you have this larger city, but you know it exists, but you're really paying attention to the characters that live in the back alleys, and that's it.
All right, so maybe that's something that I can kind of work my way into to try to get there.
the other one that's a little bit slower, and most people don't like these slow, dragging type of anime, but there was one called Witch Hunter Robin. That one got into the idea that there was this organization that really went about finding demons and evil spirits, but it was very slow. I thought it was great because it really built up this idea of different characters, right? But some people complained about its slowness, right? But it was really complex, I think, in itself. And another one was Monster. This one's kind of long. I think it's like 75 episodes. But Monster.
I think I've heard of Monster. I think that's that's something my kids have watched. So
Monster is one of those long anime, but it's one of those where you start to feel for each character, and it's about these kids who had been to the ringer, and there was a doctor who was trying to help them, but it just didn't help out. It just didn't work. Those are the ones that I would suggest for you because they're not these very fast-paced, oh my god, I don't know what the fuck is happening type of thing. But there's tons of other anime. Like I would say based off of what movies you like, right? Like the style of movie you like or genres of music or movies that you like. I could totally give you a list of anime that fit that criteria that I think that you would absolutely love because I watch all kinds of anime. Like there's all kind. I watch the stupid high school harem type of stuff that I'm like I get a good laugh out of, and then I watch the very serious ones like Claymore and Witch Hunter Robin, which I'm just like, or Wolf's Rain, and you're just like, oh yeah, that's some deep shit. And so I watch all kinds of things in between as well. So I always try and find what people like in movies and find them things that are very similar to that as far as their movie styles. It helps. It helps.
Yeah, and that's like I said, the struggle for me is just like it's not like I'm looking at like the artwork is really cool, but like for me that's not my jam as far as what I dig.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean I can't appreciate some of it. Like this is an anime, but there's a semi-animated show called Undone on Prime, which is about the one character is partially deaf and has a cochlear implant, and it's like Bob Odenkirk is in it, and it's animated, but every character looks exactly like the person that's the actor that's doing their voice, and that show was weird and awesome. It was so out there, and I loved that show, but it had no subtitles, so there's part of that.
The one for me that I thought was really cool is a French anime that was on Netflix for a while, and I think it's still on there. It was in French, but it basically was the hand that lost his body.
Wow.
Basically, let me tell you. Young man, basically you start off following a hand. So if you think about the Addams Family and the hand that moved on its own.
Yep.
Think of that, but a hand trying to make its way back to its body. Now you would say to yourself, am I high?
Right.
Like what is wrong?
What the fuck are you talking about?
No, that's the kind of weird shit I love.
Yes, most of the movie doesn't even have much dialogue. Like it's very little dialogue in it, but the music that goes with each scene is really cool. And you're watching this movie through the hand, like you're watching this hand trying to make its way back. Absolutely fantastic. I would highly recommend that, and I will definitely send you a link to say these are the ones that I would suggest you watch first.
Please
and if
do,
you like any of them, I would be like, yes, okay, now I know what else to recommend to you. But if you're like, I don't like any of these, I have another batch of stuff that I could recommend to you.
By the way, I want all my alcohol-related enthusiasts to watch the Anime Bartender. You see that one?
Ooh, I have not. Someone said, I have not seen that one. I've heard about it. Someone told me about that one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on my list. It's on my list of things to watch. I love that someone said they cosplay as Amon from Witch Hunter Robin. Nice. Oh, that is cool. Honestly, oh yeah, City of Lost Children. Yes. So this is the thing. I watch a lot of foreign films, like tons. I just watch Oxygen on Netflix. Oh, that was an interesting concept. I do watch a lot of foreign films that are more of like drama or sci-fi based because I think they do a better job with storytelling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I watch all kinds of stuff. Okay, and the only thing I don't watch are romantic comedies. I can't do it.
High five on that. So
I can't. I cannot for the life of me do romantic comedies. I tried. And musicals. Musicals are
They
hit
gotta
or
be
hit or
fun.
miss. Like the only musicals I can watch in movie format are Sound of Music,
mm-mm.
Seven
I have
Brides
a-
for Seven Brothers. I can't watch West Side Story. I cannot. I know it's a classic. Everybody loves it. I can't do it. The only other
Hamilton?
one I haven't seen Hamilton, but I have watched Little House of Horrors and Rocky Horror Picture Show. Those are the only ones I can do. Those are my four.
Rocky Horror Picture
I'll
Show.
give you a musical you could do.
What's that?
South Park the movie is a musical.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That
It,
is
is
true.
it got nominated as a best musical
It
film.
did. Okay,
Blame
that would be
Canada.
my fifth one.
Blame
I
Canada.
Burt Bacharach did the freaking soundtrack.
I did go see, when I was in New York with my friend, I did go see Beetlejuice, the musical. And I
Okay.
gotta say, Beetlejuice is one of my favorite movies growing up. I did not know when I was a kid that Michael Keaton had played Beetlejuice. Didn't know it.
Mhm.
And I loved Beetlejuice. I used to act like him all the time. I thought he was fantastic. And I went to go see this on Broadway, and I was just
And-
like, this is fantastic. Yeah. So, yeah, I loved it. It was great. It's great.
So musicals are hit or miss, is what it sounds like.
They are. They are hit or miss. Yep.
Hamilton is amazing, someone says. Shut your fucking face, Uncle Fucker.
Shut your fucking face.
You went there. Bye, Doug. Where did you go? Okay. That's.
Oh, he disappeared.
Well,
He got raptured.
I was gonna say he shut his fucking face.
He did. He did.
You missed that joke.
That whole movie for the South Park movie just slays me. It's so
Oh my God.
bad.
Oh my God.
It is so good, though.
And,
It
and
is
you
so
know what?
bad.
I know it's so politically incorrect, and I get that.
rude.
It's
It's
rude.
inappropriate.
Bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
Satan.
It's tasteless.
That whole thing with Satan and Saddam just is like
I thought
the most
I was
wrong, funny
hoping-
shit ever.
I was hoping that we could, and it's just like no. When they
Relax, guy.
oh my God, it's alright. And then the Canadians talking like this. Oh fuck, man!
Punch him
I'm
back.
not your guy, friend. I'm not your guy, friend. I'm not your friend,
Oh,
friend.
we're about to get copyrighted because I just
Yes, we
said.
are. So I think we need to stop
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. No, it's my fault. I literally sung the song from it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I have that. By the way, I had that on DVD sitting in my thing right next to me.
No,
So-
you know when a DVD that I bought, it wasn't South Park, but it was Team America.
Yes,
Yes.
that was so dumb
Yes.
but funny. So
America, what is it? Fuck yeah.
America, fuck yeah!
Say today, yeah, America. Yes.
See, look,
yes.
Kinky, you getting us copyrighted.
I know. Sorry.
No, it's okay. We do this every week. We're like, somebody's going to copyright us.
They haven't kicked us off yet, so whatever.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I guess.
Lauren just asked if
guess.
I was pulling a Casey, so apparently, yeah.
So
Oh.
we're not even going to touch video games, but
Well, we have to
That-
another time.
that
Yeah,
I was gonna
another
say,
time.
Doug, why do you always steal my thunder? I don't know why I keep him around, Kinky. Are you available on Friday nights?
Oh, hey, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's
because
do
if
it.
in case you haven't seen, I have a bit of a video game thingy behind me over here. So, I will
So
mess-
I was looking at that because I'll keep it short on video games because that's another thing of mine. I'm a big PC gamer, but I do
Oh,
also
okay.
have retro consoles as well. So I build my own PC gaming rigs, but I do have a lot of old consoles. So I have my original Nintendo, my original Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, PS1, N64, Wii U, and there's one other one that I have. But those are the ones that I have. When PS2 came out, I had switched over to PC gaming, so I missed the whole PS2 era. But I do want to get a PS5 and an Xbox. But I didn't pre-order either one of them,
So
which I
good
thought,
luck
oh, it should be
finding them.
fine. Right.
I've been trying for the Xbox for freaking months and just nothing.
Let me tell you, any other time, I'm like, oh, no, I'm not going to pre-order, and they've been fine. For whatever reason, this is the one time that neither one are available, and it pissed me right off. So, but I did get Cyberpunk on PC, so I do have that at least.
Was that as much of a mess on PC as it was on the console?
Not as bad.
Okay.
There were some glitches, but not as bad.
Yeah, the console ones were not good.
It was bad. It was like, do we get to the point of like FIFA type of glitches? Because FIFA glitches are bad.
Yeah.
Okay? But I have also, so I like personally first-person shooters. Those are my thing.
Me too.
But I do play a lot of retro games as well. But and I've tried doing some role-playing games. I think my favorite so far in role-playing games, and they're kind of in that realm, but not like true, would be like Dark Souls and Bloodborne. I have played those. Love those things to death. But and I also consider Sims to be that too. But you know, people consider it to be a taboo game. But I do think that for the most part, I like more of like first-person shooters. So I used to play a lot of Counter-Strike back in the day. Played tons of that stuff, tons of it. And I play a lot of Battlefield right now. And so tons of it. It's insane. But I do, like, when you think about retro games, I do like Mario Kart on N64. I think that's the best one in my opinion. But I do like Smash Brothers. I'm terrible at it. I'm a button smasher when it comes to that in Mortal Kombat. I got no problem with admitting that. I don't give a shit. Whatever.
Right.
I'm that person that will spam a button and you'll get mad at me because I'm doing low kicks all the time or high kicks all the time. I don't care. I will play Scorpion.
Beat it
On every
you know
single
what I mean?
one,
Like,
I don't care.
beat it though.
Like,
if you right.
That's what I'm saying.
You know
So
what
like
I
on
mean?
Mortal Kombat, my person I play is Scorpion. When it comes to Super Smash Brothers, I play King DDD. Because my name is Denise. DDD I think is hilarious because he's got that damn mallet, and I'm like, that's who I want to play. So I play King DDD and I play Scorpion. So just letting it be out there. But I do love video games. I remember when I used to play a lot more back in the day. I haven't played that much lately, but when I used to play back in the day and I used to like talk, people used to think I was a 13-year-old boy. Because
That's
my
almost
voice
better than being a woman online though.
But it's funny because I would play along with it. And I was like, yeah, bro, whatever, man, your mom, you know, and I would play and say stupid shit, like stupid. And people who play with me who knew me would be laughing hysterically because they know I'm a girl. But I'm like, yeah, you know, the other day, mom walked in on me. I was like, that's hella weird, hella embarrassing. I would play up on this type of stuff, right? And people would be like, oh, yeah, it's fine, bro. When you get older, it'll be fine. Make sure you, like, clean up all your tissues. So they would say all this type of stuff, right? And so my friends would be sitting there laughing about it. It was bad. And so they would sit there and laugh about it, right? But then, like, when I would tell people that I'm a girl who's playing, they're like, yeah, right, you're not a girl. And I'm like, yeah, I am. And then when they find out how old I am, they're just like,
oh,
like, can I get your? And I'm like, no, you cannot.
right.
No,
No.
you may not. That is not part of the thing.
So it's fun. It's really funny because when people see me, their initial impression of me is like, I remember I was in an airport one time and this guy is so stupid. I was sitting there having a conversation with this guy and I said, hey, what type of work do you think that I do? And he's like, I don't want to answer that. I'm like, come on. I said, don't be scared. Tell me what you think I do. And he's like, I think you're like a Starbucks barista. And he says, I know I'm way off, aren't I? And I was like, how much money do you want to put on this? Right? And so he's like, no, I'm not putting any money on it. And
Right.
so I was like, okay, well, I hate to burst your bubble, but I have a PhD and I'm in big pharma consulting at the time when I was doing this. And he's like, I just insulted you on so many levels. I apologize. He's like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. But people totally underestimate me. They don't
All the
think that
time, I'm
I'm
sure. All the
it's bad.
time, I bet.
Oh,
Oh my
so
God,
bad.
I bet it.
It's so bad. I've had people like when I talk to like when people watch my show, they're like, I had no idea that you like comics or that you liked sports or that you liked video games. And then I'm like, yeah, but on top of that, I like beer and cigars and fast cars. So
Like Tracy Chapman fast cars, or
no, I'm talking like along the lines of when you're thinking about like rally cars or when you're getting into drag racing or when you're getting into old American muscle. That's the type of stuff that I like. Like I would
Yes.
literally love to go to a Grand Prix in Monaco and like get one of those like really nice seats and watch the races.
Just
That's the
watch
type of
them.
stuff I want to do. Or if you watch like drag races and you watch the funny cars or some of the other cars that race in those and watch them take off and the races is like over in like 4 to 8 seconds. You're just like, oh, that was great. Most people would be like, but that was nothing. You're like, you don't understand the amount of power it took to get down there and that
Right.
speed. So
Oh.
for me, I like that type of stuff. Old American muscle is my type of thing. And then, you know, I love just looking at, and people are always tripping out. They're like, how? I don't understand. And I used to proclaim a lot, like, yeah, I'm a man in a woman's body. But then I was like, no, I
No.
shouldn't say that.
Right.
Because that really takes away from the fact that a lot of women really do enjoy these type of things. So
Correct.
I
Yep.
love surprising the hell out of people.
Yes.
And a
You
lot of
do.
people, and the thing is, like, when people see me, like, on this type of thing, they think I'm, like, at least 5'6", 5'7". And then they see me in person, they go, she's the size of a 10-year-old child. I'm only 5'2". I'm only 5'2". So, but I wear a lot of heels. So when people meet me, they're like, oh, you're the same size as me. And I take off my heel and I disappear. So, like, I go from this to, hey. And people were like, wait a minute.
Oh, fucking shit.
Did we step on her or something? It's bad. So my personality is really big. I wear big
Yes.
hair.
Yes.
I'm really loud, but I think for the most part, I enjoy so many different things, which makes it easy for me to do small talk with people. So like when you look at my interviews, a lot of people assume that I've known these people for a long time. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
A lot of these interviews I've done are very cold. I don't know these individuals. I don't know them. So it's
but
just
you give
easy
that,
for me.
You give that feeling though.
Yes.
Totally. And maybe you've known, I think one or two of the ones that I've seen that I could tell that you've maybe had a little bit of personal, but there were a couple that I could tell were cold. Because Doug and I do this a lot cold. Hey, today was cold with us. I haven't talked to you at all. But so you make you have that Oprah.
You're
like,
the third person.
You have that Oprah type thing where like you could just like respectfully, I know it's gonna sound bad, but like you can like worm your way into somebody like during an interview. And like you can see like you're like unpeeling an onion and shit. You guys got to check out our interviews. I'm telling you, they're banging. They usually happen like for me. They happen at like 4 or 5. I'm in Central Time, so they happen around like 4 or 5. Usually in the evening. I get that. You got follow Kinky Sudz on Instagram, and then you'll get the updates. So when the updates come in, it says Kinky. When I say Kinky Sudz is on live, I'm like scrambling to like click that before it goes away. But usually, and then what I do is a lot of times is I'll put you on in the background, and then I can hear your information, and I'm doing my work and all that, so I could hear the whole conversation. But like, yeah, you can again follow her if you want to see some interesting Oprah-like interviews, and like it was like Oprah at her best. I'm telling you, like you keep going. We got to get you to We're gonna put you on the Oprah track.
Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing is, one other person has said to me that that I remind them of Oprah, and a part of me was like, oh,
Right.
like, you think I'm a billionaire? And they're like, no,
No,
her
no.
interview said. I'm like,
Right.
oh,
Right. Sorry. Right.
damn.
Right.
Okay, I'll
Right.
take that too. But no, I like that because I'm the type of person who will go travel, and I'm in an airport. A person and I make eye contact. Don't make eye contact with me if you don't want to talk. We'll make eye contact, and I'm like, hey, what's up? And I'll start a conversation with them. And I'm also the type of person who, if there's a brewery in the airport, I will go to that, have a beer. And there's always typically some guy, it's typically a white guy, who I'll strike up a conversation with, right? And we start talking about all kinds of stuff. And they're always amazed by like the nerdy things that I'm into. And I've had a few guys tell me, and I had a few guys, and I was like, that's a terrible thing to say. You're too pretty to be into the nerdy things that you're into. And I'm like, thank you for calling me pretty, but at the same time,
no sense. Right.
Like it's bad.
Right.
So, and then like I make this face, and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "There's so many things wrong with that statement that you just made.
Right.
One, you're associating looks with a particular style of things, and then on top of that, why isn't it cool to be nerdy? And three, I don't think I'm that pretty. So there's like all these things that are going on, and my brain is like, so." And then we have these conversations that are so much more in depth. And so then I meet people, and then like later in life, we cross paths again, or like, hey, I'm like, hey, what's going on? So it's all kinds of stuff that, I mean, I've had all kinds of things said, and it's just funny because I'm the type of person who will call you out on things. I'm quite the bullshitter. I'm quite the shit talker. So I go toe to toe with people. Like, I don't mind dealing with a frat boy. I'm like, that's fine. I know how to deal with your kind. It's totally fine. You think you're an asshole. I can be one that's bigger. I always make the joke, like when I deal with a-holes, that I'm like, yeah, you may be an a-hole, but I'm the hemorrhoid. I'm here to irritate the a-holes. And so people just can't take it anymore.
I'm the hemorrhoid to your a-hole.
There you go.
Man, I don't know. Can we do better than that?
No, and actually, on that note, we should wrap because
that was a great ending right there.
I am the hemorrhoid to your asshole. In fact, that's got to be we got to make it a banner, Doug. We got to make it one of our. Remember, then we have like Florida is America's penis.
We had that toddler has
Kinky.
no friends.
That toddler.
Sudz.
That toddler has no friends.
Toddler has no friends. Fuck that baby or fuck that kid or something. But that was post production.
Oh man, we've said some weird shit on here.
You know what? That's like that one where they tell you have to choose on a train. Do you have the old people get killed or the babies? So like they have it where they're like, there's like three old people versus three babies.
It's the
is this
LA
America
theory. Like, do you?
Is this America?
Yeah. So yeah.
This is America.
Then.
Oh.
So
if lover on us. Oh no.
If it's America, then fuck the old people. Sorry.
Really? See, I had this conversation just recently with someone. So you know what's funny? I had this conversation with someone recently, and most people will choose old people. I went for the babies. I went for the babies. They were like, "How?" I'm like, here's my and I brought up what you said.
You said you're a bad human being.
I'm like, here. The people say I'm a bad human being, but I said, think about it. Like you said, in America, we dispose of old people like they're nothing.
It's true.
And to me, I'm like, when you were in that age group, you are going to be fighting tooth and nail to say, I am relevant. I still have life. Because in society here, once you cross 30, you become kind of non-existent. And then as you go past 40, when you go past 50, 60, they write you off.
To me, it's worse for a woman, too.
So, like for men, you guys can be a little bit older as long as you have money. If you
Right.
don't have money, you don't mean shit. But when you're a woman, you can be pretty as a 40-year-old, as a 50-year-old, but they're like, you're old.
Right. Right.
So, and
Right.
then like, or like if you're not married by 30, what's wrong with you? Like, I'm not
Well,
married. Like, here's the thing, like, I'm in my
right.
30s, right? I'm not married. I don't have kids. I don't want kids. And that is very taboo. Like,
Right.
they're like, what's wrong with you? Why don't you want kids? I'm like, why do I need to have kids? Don't you want to
This
continue on your genes? I'm like, there's tons of kids in the system. Why wouldn't I want
right.
to adopt a
There's
kid?
no,
But don't you
no,
want your own? Why?
no,
My body looks good.
no,
Why would I want to mess? No, but
no.
I mean, like
Right.
seriously.
Right.
But
Right.
I do think it's interesting that they kind of shun you if you don't want kids, like something's wrong with you.
Mhm.
And for the women who can't have kids, who do want to have kids, that puts them in a very weird position. So that as a woman, like you
Right.
said, there's multiple things that are
Fucking take my kids. Right.
That's Manny
there's
saying,
there's
"Take my."
multiple things that happen with
Right.
that, right?
Right.
So I do think that as a whole, as you get older, and especially in our society, we do not appreciate that. But I do think that there are some old people when you look at them on online
Mhm.
that you go, they're stuck in their old ways. So maybe we should no, but I mean, but seriously, but like when you think about it, we do tend to put and like the thing is like someone said, but the kid has potential to do great things. And I'm like, yeah, that baby does, but why doesn't the old person have that same type of potential?
Right.
Why can't they share their experience with us of what they've been through to tell us what we should not do? Why do we put so much faith in the young person? Because some of these young people may grow up to be serial killers. Are you okay with that?
So, wow.
So I always
So,
ask that question, but yeah, I'm like, babe.
and on that note, we're going to wrap, or otherwise, we're going to go 2 more hours,
Yeah,
unless you want to.
I mean, I'm totally fine with that, but that's just me.
we do have an after show where we can go 5 hours if you need to.
Yeah, and I got a video to show you now to show that I'm not going to show
Yeah.
here, and I
Yes,
want
that's totally
I
fine.
can't. That's going to
Hey,
be fun.
so
Bye
before
to all you Facebook users. We gotta watch this.
Right, right. Well, one day we'll have a Patreon open. But what were you going to say, Doug?
no, I was gonna say we have to have Kinky back so we can do just at least a video game thing, like in detail, because there's a lot to
Oh,
cover.
yes.
So yeah,
Yeah, we got a video game stream coming up, so we
yeah,
were
and
going
I
to.
think that's something
I
maybe
will-
we should
will.
have Kinky on. For
Well,
that.
well, let me
You need
finish,
to.
Doug. I didn't even get to finish what I was going to fucking say. You ran over me, damn it! Look,
He's being a typical white
look,
guy.
I keep forgetting that I have the controls here.
Take ownership. Ownership.
No. Anyway, though, what Doug was saying though is that we do we're definitely going to be doing more video streams. And we do video streams, and we need a female point of view. So that's what Doug was saying, and he's right. So also, again, like I said, I like when I can bring my guests on and not talk about the things that they always talk about. And I think, again, that's another thing that you do well is you get to the point, like we find out, we're like, okay, cool. Like,
There's so much more. It's
right,
bad.
we're like, okay, cool, you're a beer person, blah, 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 blah. But then really, though, what else do you do here? And so, like, the second part of your, and that's what happens with us, too. The second part of our stream, in my opinion, is really more interesting than the first part because we really get to the guts of the human being there. You know what I mean? Like, not the normal, you know what I mean? Like, you have a brand, and we know what we're going to,
I do.
stuff like that. And I have a brand, everybody has a brand, Doug has a brand. But, like, once you get past the brand, you really find out who the person is, and that's what we like. That's why we like the part about our second half here. And yeah, so anyway, Doug, or I'm sorry, Kinky Sudz, what were the beers that you enjoyed? And we usually rank them from best to worst, but you can do whatever you want. And then,
Ooh.
but we're gonna wrap because again, we will go another hour, and
Bad.
so
Yeah,
it's just better to have you back like
Pac-Man.
November
Just-
when I come back in November.
I mean, if you want to do it even earlier, I'd be fine with that as well. It does not
We-
matter to me.
We get crazy. We book out to like April, or we book out to like
You could-
October.
Kick another speaker off and like tell him you do them later and move me earlier. No, I'm joking. Like,
I don't know. Doug books great guests, as you can see.
Damn,
So,
that's true.
yeah.
Okay, I won't tell you kick off anybody. I mean, if it's
The
a
guy
guy,
you kicked
kick
off
him.
just a second ago. Oh, okay, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a guy, kick him off. No, but I mean, honestly, I would love to be back. To come back on here. I mean, honestly, I would even have you guys on my show so that we can have it something in between to say, hey, we're checking in again. I would totally be down for that as well.
The
I
only
think.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the only reason I'm not is because I didn't sign up. So I need to do that.
You do. You
And
do.
Doug should do it too.
Yeah. I would do you guys have you guys at the same time.
Greg is
I
addicted
know
to
that
the show.
sounds terribly.
He
But
does.
it's like if anyone hears that in not in context, they'll be like, "Wait, what? She's going to take them at the same time?" Like, no. I'm talking about on the show. The show.
Well, that's why you call it Kinky Sudz, right?
I mean, people are always going to take it the wrong way anyway. I'm like, whatever. Take
You're
it the way
Kinky
you take it.
Sudz.
Take it the way you take it.
So, Miss Kinky Sudz, what did you drink?
So I had, as you can tell here, derivative, right? Let me clear this up. Had derivative. This was really good. I was quite shocked with this being a single hopped pale ale with
Yes,
Citra.
man. Yes.
It was really good. I mean, 6%, so it doesn't hit you hard. It's from Rhode Island. Not too bad. Can art is really clean, very simple. But if we were to compare, I definitely would say this would probably be my number one. The rainbow colored glasses, which was a tart wheat ale from Ology Brewing Company. This was probably my favorite.
And
really
we love the double meaning on that one too.
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing too, the reason why I picked derivative, and I didn't get a chance to say it because I was getting into other conversations, but derivative was really getting into, when you think about all the stories that have been shared over the course of this week in the craft beer industry with women, they all have a very similar theme. They were all derivative of something, right? This idea of sexual harassment, sexual abuse. And there's a common common theme through all of them when you think about it, that they were overlooked, they were not believed, and they were scared to share their story. Like those are the things that were common between them. But I think that when you think about individuals like Rack Magnet who stand out and say, hey, share your story, and gives them this platform to share their story, I think that those are very important and critical. But I also, part of me wants to make sure that this doesn't become a very whitewashed, wave where when you think about the women of color that are in the craft beer industry, because there are many, that they don't get the same type of acknowledgement and acceptance and the platform to be able to share their story, because again, there's a compounded effort or no compounded effect with being a woman and a woman of color that makes that much worse, because things are thrown at you that a white woman would not experience. And I think that in itself is very important when you're thinking about these stories that have been shared over the course of this week. A lot of them are anonymous, so you don't know who they are, what background they're from, but I do want to make sure that my type of women, Black women, women of color, Indigenous women, Hispanic women, are not excluded from that when it comes to time of being recognized and saying we hear you and we want to support you. That's the thing I want to walk away with on that.
And on that note, it couldn't have been said better. And we will see you in post-production here, and we will see you hopefully later this year. I'm gonna try to book you the second we get off here. So I want to thank you for gracing our presence.
Thanks
and
for having me. This was fun.
Making our stream vastly better than it would have been if it was just me and Doug.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Vastly better. Thank you, Kinky Sudz, again.
Yes.
And we will see you soon.
Yes.
The comments pretty much showed what our audience thought of you. So
I would say follow me on Instagram if you want to reach out. Anybody who was on here, definitely reach out. I'm always looking for new contacts.
Yeah,
so.
do that, folks. You won't regret it. It's well worth it.
And as Doug and I have been trying to do more, is express our affection and our love for our friends. So we love you, Kinky Sudz, and you keep kicking butt. And you guys need to find her down here, Instagram, Kinky Sudz. She's all over the place. All over the place on Instagram. You only have like 1,000 followers. That's ridiculous. Let's go, people.
1,600.
Let's go. Come on, that needs to be 16,000. This is ridiculous, actually. Darren followed you, so that's great.
Yep.
Great combo. Thanks for coming on. And we're gonna get in more into the nerd stuff, unless the week that you come on, unless we have 10,000 women come out about how bad craft beer is. We might have to say something then. Right.
Yes.
But other than that, thank you, Kinky Sudz. Hopefully you hang out for post-production. And we love you, and keep kicking that butt.
Yep. Love you. Thanks for being on.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Cheers.
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 I never want to say goodbye to a good guest, and all of our guests are good. Don't get me wrong. They're all really good. Saying goodbye is kind of the hardest thing I do. It's kind of like rapping.
Yeah, we tried to rap 20 minutes ago, and just sometimes it snowballs, and that's totally fine. I just think it's great that we have folks that are willing to stick around and talk the whole time.
And I said this to you, and I said this to you in pre-production, man. Wonderful book this week. You booked a wonderful, fantastic guest, but also the timing of it was just amazing, because we couldn't really say what she just said, and she put it in words that we could never touch.
Yep.
And I'm just grateful for that timing, man. Because again, if it was just me and you sitting here stumbling over our fucking words about this, it just wouldn't have been the same. So, it's like that stupid meme that came out. Not stupid meme, it was really good. It was like 5 white dudes around, and they were like, "Oh, we're all surprised about. Aren't you surprised about the craft beer news that came out this week?" Like, that's kind of like on some level where we would be at, which is like, we're not surprised, but on some level we can't give the emotional and the go right to the heart on this issue than a female Black woman, or any kind of woman at this point at this stage with the whole craft beer. But to have a female Black woman speak to, yes, there's female here, but even if we go further to what the Black women go through, it's just, there's nothing. As a Black man, I can't even. So anyway, Doug, it was just great. Thank you for booking that, and thank you for being who you are, motherfucker. So let's hear. I love you,
man.
Is it what did Billy Joel say? I love you just the way you are, isn't it? It's kind of
the way you are. Yep.
I kind of hated that though, because it's kind of like a backhanded compliment. Like, you're all fucked up, but I still love you. Is that kind of...
Yeah. Yeah, there is a weird fucked up. Now, it's one of those things where you go, "Oh well, I love you just how you are. I think this is great," and then he goes, "Oh, are you saying I'm fucked up?" Like,
yes,
I am, but I still love you. I don't care. I love your crazy ass.
Right, with all your fucking flaws that I deal with on a daily basis. I got
a shit ton of flaws too.
Right, yeah. So anyway, speaking of my flaws, I'm a flawed person. I love a good session IPA. 4% went down too fast.
Yeah, you drank the first one like a beast.
This one here was this mixed sour. It was like a spritzer. It was like a wine cooler, lower level type, very, very drinkable sour. Not too crazy. What did Kinky say? Kinky was like, what'd she say? If it's like too puckery, she can't do it. That's up her. You and her.
I'd be in that realm.
Yeah, you guys could roll in some sours. But I don't know if you got Casey's a little bit. He's on the other.
No, he's on the other end. He's more the sour guy.
Then I had this milk peanut butter stout, which I thought the peanut butter was a little bit too extracty. I'm gonna have another one of these, and I hope it's better.
Okay, so, maybe that's the bag can.
Nah, what you got?
All right, so believe it or not, I'm going to say the Rodeo Clown was, again, none of these were bad. This was just, I'm going to pick one. This is probably going to be my least favorite, which is weird because I love Imperial Stouts. This is from Stable 12, which you really like.
Yay, Stable 12. They got a mean chicken sandwich
for because someone took that one because they liked it.
Oh, okay.
And that was the Lucky Hair Hula Hoops one that had watermelon in it, and that one was really good. And I wish I would have got more of that. But the number one was this weird barrel aged Belgian strong with Vignoles. Vignoles is a grape, and what I didn't realize is from Atwater Estate is where they got the grapes from. So that's what they threw in with the Belgian strong. That was so strange and awesome. Like I didn't know what to expect, to be honest, because Belgian strongs are just like, they're almost like triples and triples or doubles, where they're like, well, not doubles, but triples where they're really sweet. But yeah, that was a little sweet and then finished tart. And that was really, really good. I could drink a bunch of those, and that's not good because it's 9%.
Well, excellent. Doug, next week we have
Manny.
certified cereal dude. If there was a certification for cereal, Manny would have it. And if you remember, I don't know if you saw during the show, during the stream, he went into a place and was buying cereal in San Francisco, and then he came back. And so, yeah, it's going to be fun. Manny's a trip. If you guys, anybody who follows the stream, you already know Manny. And then one last comment before we roll. Darren says one day I'll get a re-invite. So Darren was
have him on because holy shit. Yeah.
So Darren was on, let's everybody know, Darren was on Meet My Friends, which was a series that I did to highlight my friends, what they're doing. We talked about barbecue. We talked about how he has adopted sons. And yeah, so he's never been on the Friday stream. So Darren, I'm going to reach out to you soon to book you for the Friday stream. We are booked till October, but we're going to get you on. And yeah, so other than that, we just want to thank our stream. Oh, look at this. I love it. Next week's going to be Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yes, it is.
So yes, we want to thank our stream friends for making our guests feel welcome every week, and they do.
Yeah,
and we love them for it.
And it's always been awesome.
Yes.
And they come with great questions, great comments. Like y'all are the real MVPs, as Mr. Kevin Durant said. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, so we're gonna end with Kevin Durant. Jesus Christ.
All right.
Anyway.
Sorry, I left that a shitty taste in your mouth. So
before we can go any